Damn. Gu Zhiyu's eyes flew open. She glanced around and her breath caught in her throat. System, get out here right now. Host, please watch your language. The system's reply made Gu Zhiyu seethe with rage. Send me back this instant. The system rejected her outright. The system strictly fulfills the host's wishes. Return is not possible. Hearing this, Gu Zhiyu felt infuriated beyond words. Wishes, always the wishes. She ached to travel back to the moment she made that wish and slap herself hard. Why had she spoken so recklessly? Look what had happened. She'd tempted fate and ended up tangled up with some weird system. She'd daydreamed endlessly about gaining a system, but now that one had actually appeared, it was utterly unreasonable. Gu Zhiyu thought she might as well be dead. How ridiculous. On her 25th birthday, a wish had landed her in this mess, and there was nowhere she could plead her case. Gu Zhiyu had grown up in an orphanage, stumbling through life alone. She'd finally graduated university and landed a job, only to end up with an impossibly fussy boss. After a few months at work, Gu Zhiyu was convinced she would lose her mind if she stayed any longer. Who would willingly serve a boss obsessed with cleanliness and perfectionism, someone who demanded not a single crease on his employees' clothing? Anyone who wanted the job could have it. She was done. She'd been ready to throw in the towel, hand in her resignation, and find a new employer. Until she saw her payslip and checked her bank balance. Forget it. I can endure this for the money, Gu Zhiyu had told herself. She could handle it, she was capable, she would bear it, but she could not stand it for another second. Today was her 25th birthday, and she'd mapped everything out well in advance. Finish work on time, dress up nicely, find a pleasant restaurant with delicious food to celebrate her birthday alone. She'd started planning half a month earlier and even booked the restaurant. Everything was ready, waiting only for the end of her shift. But fate seemed determined to ruin her good mood. Meet in the conference room for a meeting. It was a bolt from the blue. No matter how pleasant her boss's voice sounded, it could not quiet the fierce frustration building inside Gu Zhiyu. Boss, Gu Zhiyu tried to plead, but her boss turned away too quickly for her to finish speaking. Fine. If the meeting wrapped up soon, she could still make it to her birthday dinner. As a humble office worker, she had no power to defy her superior's orders. Yet no one could have guessed the meeting would drag on for 2 whole hours. 2 hours. While the boss nitpicked the formatting of a proposal, Gu Zhiyu received a notification from the restaurant. There was nothing she could do but cancel her reservation and forfeit 30% of the deposit. Watching her boss pontificate, Gu Zhiyu thought of the fancy dinner she'd lost and silently fumed. Not even her salary could ease the resentment building inside this overworked employee. At last, the proposal passed inspection, once the boss was satisfied down to every punctuation mark. It was already past 7 o'clock. Drained by work, Gu Zhiyu's excitement for her birthday had completely faded. She picked up her birthday cake and headed home. Sitting on the sofa, she lit the candles on the cake. Fueled by frustration toward her boss, she gritted her teeth and voiced 3 wishes. I swear to alternate meat and vegetables for the rest of my life if my insufferable boss disappears. I would rather live in another world than work under him any longer. Let me follow tomorrow. I never want to lay eyes on him again. The money and joy she'd lost that day had clouded her judgment. Every wish on her 25th birthday had revolved around her boss. Ding. Wishes received. System binding complete. A mechanical voice cut through her thoughts. Gu Zhiyu jumped in shock, but before she could utter a word, darkness swallowed her consciousness. When she regained awareness, she was floating midair. I'm floating. Before she could process this, she glanced down and saw her own body slumped on the sofa. I'm dead, aren't I? Detecting overwhelming resentment from the host. To calm your grievances, the wish fulfillment system shall grant your wishes, a glowing orb calling itself the system explained. What does that mean? Before Gu Zhiyu could respond, the system continued. Commencing space-time transmission. Destination: another world free of your former boss. Gu Zhiyu watched space twist and warp all around her. Wait, I haven't agreed yet. She never got the chance to finish. Thinking back, Gu Zhiyu glared at the system hovering before her. I want to file a complaint. Apologies. Complaints are not supported by the system. Suppressing her rising anger, Gu Zhiyu pressed on. You claim to be a wish fulfillment system. What functions do you have? Most importantly, where exactly have you sent me? This is the wish fulfillment system. Upon detecting intense, resolute wishes, binding is initiated, and the wishes will be fulfilled. Your current location: Suzhou, Jiangsu Province, 1970. Gu Jiyu stared in shock. 1970? She looked at the walls of the room. The aesthetic fit perfectly. It was unmistakably the style of that era. Gu Jiyu's mind raced as she thought about the social climate of the 1970s, where even a careless comment could spell disaster, and dizziness washed over her again and again. I revoke my wishes. Send me back immediately. As previously stated, these are your heartfelt wishes. Return is impossible. Without pausing to let Gu Jiyu speak, the system added, your physical body in your original world has perished. Time flows at different speeds between the two dimensions. By now, your former body has turned to ashes. You have 10 minutes to select your system module. Once confirmed, your choice cannot be altered. After 10 minutes, the main system will depart this world. A sub-system will only be recalled upon your death. Please make your decision promptly. Realizing return was out of the question, Gu Jiyu resigned herself to her fate. Explain these system modules you mentioned. The system pulled up a virtual panel. You will select one sub-system. After confirmation, it will accompany you for the rest of your life. You may choose freely from the available modes. Gu Jiyu stared at the long list of system names displayed on the screen and fell into deep thought. Scholarly Master System, Merit Accumulation System, Top Celebrity System, National Craftsman System, Street Stall Wealth System, Universal Charm Favorability System, Advanced Technology System. She even spotted several bizarre options: grow strong by seeking danger system, receive rewards when attacked system, level up from insult system. What on earth would anyone do with those? Several systems caught her eye immediately. Can I pick more than one? No, the system replied firmly. Please make your selection quickly. If no choice is made once time expires, the main system will leave this world and assume you require no accompanying sub-system. After much deliberation, Gu Jiyu chose the check-in system. No complicated reasoning lay behind her choice, it was simply the simplest and easiest to use. System selection confirmed. You may review operational instructions independently. We wish you a pleasant life. Once Gu Jiyu made her pick, the system spoke those words and vanished. Gu Jiyu rolled her eyes hard enough that they nearly slipped back into her skull. Pleasant, my foot. She had nothing here. If not for the system left behind, she would have surrendered without a second thought. Hey system. You never told me anything about this body. Gu Jiyu exclaimed in alarm. She knew absolutely nothing about her new identity. What if she accidentally acted out of place and was labeled an outsider? There is no need for alarm. The system operates with absolute precision and makes no errors. If you wish, you may accept the original host's memories at any time. Gu Jiyu blinked in surprise. I thought you'd gone silent for good. I assumed you were nothing more than a display screen once the check-in feature unlocked. Please refrain from disparaging remarks toward the system. The system possesses all fundamental functions and is far more than a simple display, the system replied in its flat, unemotional tone, making Gu Jiyu's temples twitch. Got it. Transfer the memories belonging to this body first. The original owner shared her name, Gu Jiyu. The original girl was 16 years old, a high school student. She had one elder brother and a twin younger brother. Both of her parents worked at a textile mill. Their combined monthly wages exceeded 100 yuan, making the Gu family quite well off for the time. Her father, Gu Weigua, was a grade 6 machinist at the textile mill, earning 78.5 yuan each month. He enjoyed a good reputation among coworkers and rarely quarreled with anyone. He was known as an amiable man. Well, a shrewd amiable man. From the original girl's memories, whenever disagreements arose, Gu Weigua always ensured his family lost nothing. Her mother, Zhao Suying, worked as a grade 3 textile worker with a monthly salary of 45.2 yuan. She had a fiery personality and fiercely protected her family, yet she never harbored permanent grudges against others. Any conflicts that emerged were smoothly resolved by Gu Weigua. Eldest brother Gu Jian was 18. He had graduated high school the previous year. With the family's help, he'd secured an apprenticeship at a machinery factory. Diligent and hardworking, he'd earned his master's respect and become a level 2 apprentice with a monthly wage of 20 yuan. He'd recently begun courting his master's daughter. The pair were deeply fond of one another and discussing marriage. Twin younger brother Gu Jijin shared Gu Jiyu's high school classes. His grades were average, yet he dreamed of enlisting in the military after graduating the following year. Gu Jiu pictured Gu Jijin from the inherited memories, lively, outgoing, always laughing and brimming with energy. He rarely fell ill, so joining the army was a promising path for him. Unlike the original host, who had been frail since birth. Doctors said she suffered from congenital deficiencies, forbidden from performing heavy labor. Fortunately, Gu's parents held no preference for sons over daughters. If anything, they doted on their daughter. They cared for her meticulously year after year. They repeatedly told their two sons that their sister was weak and needed their care. Raised surrounded by her family's devotion, the original girl never grew spoiled or entitled. Her poor health limited most activities, leaving reading as her greatest hobby. Gu Weigua and Zhao Suing scoured far and wide to source books for her to pass the time. She never disappointed them. Sharp and blessed with a photographic memory, she consistently ranked first in her class. Her family was endlessly proud. When others made bitter, jealous comments, her family always stepped forward to shield her. The original girl had lived enveloped in love. Gu Jiu could only think one thing: she was thoroughly consumed by envy. She herself had grown up in an orphanage, never knowing such unconditional affection. Resources in the orphanage were scarce, forcing her to fight for everything she received. Once she entered the working world, Gu Jiu had no urge to seek out biological relatives. She had long since grown accustomed to relying solely on herself. How could she not feel envious witnessing how deeply this version of herself was cherished? System, why does this girl share my name? A suspicion crossed Gu Jiu's mind. This is you from a parallel timeline. Naturally, your names are identical. Gu Jiu nodded, unsurprised by the answer. A strange mix of joy and sorrow washed over her. In another timeline, she had been wholeheartedly loved. With this knowledge, Gu Jiu set aside her anxiety and fully absorbed the inherited memories. After all, these memories now belonged to her too. Just the previous day, the sub-district office had notified the Gu family that one of their 3 children must go to the countryside as a sent-down youth. The news threw Gu's parents into a panic. Only Gu Jijin was eligible. Gu Jian held a formal job, and Gu Jiu's poor health exempted her. But their youngest son was only 16, completely inexperienced with farm labor. They had met many sent-down youths returning for brief visits, gaunt and worn down by harsh rural life, barely recognizable compared to their former selves. It was plain to see how difficult their lives had become. Gu's father and mother worried constantly. They'd taken leave from work that day to search for solutions, hoping to keep all their children at home. Her eldest brother planned to ask around the factory for available job openings. Learning her brother might be sent away, the original Gu Jiu had fretted endlessly, helpless to change anything. Stress had sent her falling ill. She'd stayed homesick that day, and when she drifted off to sleep, Gu Jiu from the modern world arrived in her body. Thinking over the realities of 1970, Gu Jiu formulated a plan. Perhaps she should volunteer to go to the countryside. Though physically delicate, she could seek lighter farm work. All the heroines in the novels chose easy jobs like gathering pigweed, simple and leisurely. She possessed a system, and her family would never abandon her. Life in the countryside would not be unbearable. Her parents had full-time jobs, her elder brother worked, and her younger brother planned to join the military next year. She could enjoy freedom in the countryside. Once the policy allowed sent-down youths to return to cities, she could rely on her family for support and live comfortably. With that thought, Gu Jiu quickly asked the system, "How does this check-in function work?" The system pulled up its interface. The check-in system supports daily, monthly, and annual check-ins. Different supplies are rewarded based on your location. Special gift packs will be issued for festivals, month-end, and year-end check-ins. You also gain access to a time-stabilized storage warehouse to keep your supplies. You may view complete details independently. Gu Jiu examined the system display, stunned. A 10,000 cubic meter warehouse. How many supplies could fit inside? She eagerly scanned the list of possible check-in rewards. Her eyes widened further. Rewards covered every necessity for daily life. There were even scientific research equipment and technical blueprints. She could earn ration coupons and cash through check-ins too. Life in the countryside would pose no worries at all. Gu Jiu suddenly froze. What was this? System, is this real? Is it alive? Gu Jiu's voice trembled as she pointed at the image displayed on the screen. Of course. The system can reward nearly anything that exists within this timeline via check-ins. Gu Jiu immediately asked, "Can I check in right now?" "Yes, host." All traces of hesitation vanished. She pointed firmly at the screen. Check in immediately. I want this one. On the screen was a picture of a giant panda, round and adorable, as if ready to bound straight into her arms. Who wouldn't dream of raising a giant panda? Gu Jiu had longed for one her entire life. Giant pandas, fluffy and utterly charming. Denied. Check-in rewards are randomized. You cannot select specific items. The system refused without hesitation. However, you may obtain it through future check-ins. The loss of her chance to own a panda instantly dulled Gu Jiu's excitement toward the system. No custom picks? Alright then. Let's start the check-in little system. Ding. Check-in successful. As this is your first check-in, you receive a starter gift pack, which has been deposited directly into your storage space. You may access it whenever you wish. A gift pack? Gu Jiu quickly opened the warehouse space to examine its contents. Wow. You truly deliver on your promises, system. This gift pack is incredibly generous. This is your exclusive first-time check-in bonus. Great, I understand. Gu Jiu stared at the supplies in her storage space, growing far more confident about her potential life as a sent-down youth. The gift pack contained a staggering amount of goods: 100 gene of wheat flour, 100 gene of rice, 100 gene of cornmeal, 30 gene of rapeseed oil, 20 gene of lard, 10 gene of edible salt, 10 gene of brown sugar, 30 gene of soybeans, 40 gene of dried sweet potato slices, 30 gene of cured pork, 15 gene of dried seafood, 10 gene total of dried shiitake mushrooms and black fungus, 5 gene of white rabbit cream candies, 5 gene of fruit candies, 8 gene each of assorted pastries, 100 farm fresh eggs, 50 salted duck eggs, 10 gene of apples, 10 gene of bananas, 10 gene of lychees, 10 gene of juicy peaches, 5 gene of cherries, 10 watermelons, 5 durians, 5 cantaloupes, 10 meters each of Dacron fabric and assorted colored cotton cloth, 4 thick cotton, padded jackets, 6 lightweight lined jackets, 10 sets of thermal underwear, 12 pairs of liberation shoes, 30 pairs of cotton socks. For quilts, 6 bed sheets, and a complete sewing kit, 2 heavy-duty iron cooking pots, 8 enamel basins, 3 kerosene lamps, 30 bars of soap, 3 insulated metal thermoses, 2 large boxes each of common anti-inflammatory and cold medicines, a crate of iodophor, gauze and band-aids, 20 medicinal plasters for bruises and sprains, 10 tubes of chilblain ointment, and a large sack of dried herbal medicine. 5 gene each of high-yield grain seeds, a full collection of vegetable seeds, 8 fruit tree saplings, 6 gene of tea leaves, 3 gene of tobacco leaves, 100 gene grain ration coupons, 50 feet of cloth ration coupons, and 20 10-yuan banknotes. Perhaps considering her weak constitution, the check-in also rewarded a bottle of vitality-preserving pills containing 30 capsules, alongside the full medicinal formula for the pills. Overjoyed by all these supplies, Gu Jiu wished she could embrace the system if it possessed a physical form. Do you have further questions, host? If not, the system will enter dormancy to conserve energy. At once, Gu Jiu hurried to ask, if you go dormant, how will I complete daily check-ins? The system will maintain basic operation to guarantee your daily check-in function without interruption. You may wake me anytime if new questions arise. Gu Jiu felt completely secure. She smiled warmly, her disappointment about the panda fading away. Very well, system father. Rest well. The system fell silent. Just moments ago she'd called it little system. This host was ruthlessly practical once she received benefits. The system is entering dormancy. We wish you a pleasant life. After the system went dormant, Gu Jiu continued celebrating her good fortune for a while. The inherited body was still recovering from illness, and drowsiness washed over her. She poured out one of the vitality-preserving pills provided by the system and swallowed it. Items produced by the system were undeniably top quality. The moment the pill touched her tongue, she felt noticeably better. Yet overwhelming sleepiness quickly followed. No one else would return home for some time, so Gu Jiu lay down to rest for a while. She woke as dusk fell. The vitality-preserving pill worked wonders. After her nap, the dull tightness in her chest that had lingered since she arrived in this body had vanished entirely. Gu Jiu got up and stepped outside, only to find that none of the Gu family had returned home yet. Knowing they had spent the entire day rushing around sorting out Gu Jijin's planned rustication to the countryside and must not have eaten anything, she headed straight for the kitchen to prepare dinner. As dusk drew near, Gu Jiu decided not to make anything complicated. She boiled a large basin of wheat noodles and prepared a sauce stir, fried with green peppers and eggs, waiting for the rest of the family to come back. Before long, Father Gu, Mother Gu, eldest brother Gu Jiyan, and younger brother Gu Zijin returned. All of them wore gloomy expressions. It seemed they had failed to find a solution, and Gu Zijin would still have to be sent to the countryside. When Gu Jiu caught sight of her family, her eyes lit up. Even with the original host's memories in her mind, seeing them in person felt far more real. Every member of the Gu family had fine features. Her elder brother and younger brother took after their father, Gu Weigua, with thick eyebrows, big eyes, and handsome faces, while she herself bore a stronger resemblance to her mother, Zhao Suiying. Zhao Suiying had soft, gentle features. The worry creasing her brows made her look utterly pitiable, though she paid no mind to her own appearance. She clutched Gu Weigua's arm and chattered anxiously. Weigua, what on earth are we going to do? We've asked everywhere. Everyone says inspections are extremely strict right now, and there's no way out. No factories are hiring either. Do we really have to let our boy go to the countryside? How much hardship he'll endure? He's still so young. How will he cope? Gu Weigua shook his head. The rustication campaign is in full swing. No one dares take risks to help us. It looks like Zijin has to go. We'll pack plenty of supplies for him and send him money every month. His life shouldn't be too tough. In a couple of years, we can try to arrange a job and get him back to the city. Gu Zijin spoke up at once. Don't worry, Mom and Dad. Let me go to the countryside. I'm strong and can work hard. You won't abandon me, right? I can manage. It's far better than letting sister go instead. Gu Jian stayed silent, still racking his brains for any possible alternative. It was then that Gu Jiu spoke. Mom, Dad, eldest brother, younger brother, let's eat first. I've cooked noodles. After dinner, I have something to talk to all of you about. At her words, Mother Gu hurried over and took Gu Jiu's hand. Silly child, you weren't feeling well. You should have rested at home instead of cooking. You've never set foot in the kitchen before. What if you hurt yourself? Don't ever do this again. Leave cooking to me when I get home, do you hear? The rest of the family crowded around to check her over. When they saw she was unharmed, they all let out relieved sighs. Warmed by her family's concern, Gu Jiu's heart felt soft. I'm fine, look. You've all been running around outside all day and must be exhausted. It's nothing much for me to make dinner at home. Besides, I found cooking really straightforward. I enjoy it, and it didn't tire me out at all. Let's go eat and try what I've made. As she spoke, Gu Jiu linked arms with her father and mother, turning to call her elder and younger brothers to follow along. After dinner and clearing away the dishes, the whole family gathered around the table, going over what Gu Zijin would need to take to the countryside. Suddenly, Zhao Suiying slammed her palm on the table. You're going to the countryside? I won't allow it. Everyone turned to look at her at the loud sound. Gu Weigua asked Suiying, what's wrong? Tears welled up in Zhao Suiying's eyes. Ayu says she wants to go to the countryside. Her body is frail. I raised her with so much care. If she goes to the countryside, I'm terrified my daughter will never make it back. Hearing this, Gu Weigua looked questioningly at Gu Jiu. Ayu, is what your mother said true? Have you truly decided to volunteer for rustication? Before Gu Jiu could reply, Gu Zijin flew into a panic. No way, absolutely not. Sister, your health isn't good. You can't go to the countryside. I can handle it. Look how sturdy I am, maybe I'll even get meat to eat out there every day. Let me go instead. Gu Jian shook his head repeatedly. Little sister, don't even entertain that thought. Your body can't withstand rural labor. If anything happens to you out there, what will become of us? Be sensible. If there really is no other way, I can hand my job over to Zijin and go to the countryside myself. Listening to them, Gu Jiu grew even more certain of her decision to go. Mom, Dad, please listen to me. My going to the countryside is the best choice we have right now. Eldest brother has held his job for over a year, and he already has a girlfriend. From what you've discussed, you plan for him to formally propose to her soon. If he gives his job to Zijin and heads to the countryside, not only is it uncertain whether Zijin can handle the work, but what will become of eldest brother's girlfriend? Can we expect her to wait for him indefinitely? What's more, eldest brother's master will surely be displeased if Zijin takes over his position. This plan simply won't work. The others exchanged awkward glances, and Gu Jiu went on. Zijin plans to graduate next year and enlist in the army. He trains constantly, and he's almost certain to pass the recruitment tests next year. If he's sent to the countryside now, it will ruin his future prospects. Things are different for me. Once I'm in the countryside, I can seek out lighter duties. I don't have to push myself to earn lots of work points. Everyone will understand if I avoid heavy labor because of my weak constitution. No one will gossip. And I know Mom and Dad won't leave me to fend for myself. With regular support from you, I can live comfortably out there, can't I? So it's settled. I am the most suitable one to go. Gu Jiu finished speaking and watched her family ponder her words, confident her reasoning would win them over. Father Gu and Mother Gu conferred quietly. Suying, I think Au makes sense. We'll stock her up with plenty of supplies, send her money each month, and help her arrange light work. It should be manageable. Zhao Suying gripped Gu Jiu's hand tightly, overcome with distress. But Au's body is so delicate. What if she falls ill? I nurtured her from a tiny infant all the way to now. If something terrible happens to her out there, I won't be able to carry on. Gu Jiu comforted her. Mom, don't worry. I'll be careful. I'll stock up on all kinds of medicine, and I'll visit the clinic straight away if I feel unwell. I've grown up now. I can look after myself for your sake, so please don't fret so much. Zhao Suying saw how resolute Gu Jiu was, and she had to admit her daughter's arguments held merit. Her heart ached terribly, yet she could find no grounds to refuse. Gu Jijin still refused to accept the idea of his sister leaving for the countryside. Gu Jiu spoke to him gently. Jijin, be reasonable. Mom and Dad will sort everything out. I won't suffer out there. Stay in the city, keep up with your studies, and join the army after graduation next year. Once you're a soldier, won't you look out for your sister? Work hard and make great achievements in the army, and I'll rely on you in the years ahead. Tears burst from Gu Jijin's eyes at those words. The teenage boy broke down in loud sobs. Sister, don't worry. I'll take care of you someday. I'll work hard to join the army and earn many merits to make you proud. Gu Jian clapped Gu Jijin on the shoulder. All right, stop crying. You're getting too old for this. We'll leave it to you to support your sister someday, but eldest brother is here for her now. He then turned to his parents. If we've decided Au will go to the countryside, we need to start making arrangements right away. First, we have to settle on a location. The sub-district office hasn't pressed us yet. If she volunteers early, she might get to choose where she's sent. Au, what do you think? Gu Jiu answered without hesitation. I want to go to northeast China. People there get to stay indoors through the long cold winter, unlike the south, where farm work carries on all year round. I can rest properly in winter, though I'll need plenty of thick cotton, padded clothes. Father Gu nodded. Northeast China is indeed a good option. Tomorrow morning I'll go to the sub-district office to register Au. Suying, take another day off to go shopping with her for supplies. Buy plenty of cotton, winters there are bitterly cold. Zhao Suying gazed at Gu Jiu with pity. Don't worry. I'll make sure she has everything she could possibly need. Gu Weigua continued, when Au leaves, we'll give her a sum of money to keep on hand, and send her 20 yuan every month after that. Also, stock up on all the medicine she might need. That's a plan, Zhao Suying agreed. Eldest brother quickly added, I'll send little sister 5 yuan each month too. I earn 20 yuan a month and I don't have many expenses. She ought to have plenty of money with her. Count me in too. Gu Jijin cut in eagerly. I'll give sister all my pocket money from now on. Gu Jiu felt her heart swell with gratitude for her family's love. Thank you, Mom, Dad, eldest brother, and Jijin. I promise I'll take good care of myself and not let you worry. Zhao Suying stroked Gu Jiu's hair. Good girl. She turned to the others. Now that we've reached a decision, let's turn in early tonight. We've got a busy day tomorrow. Everyone nodded, washed up quickly, and headed to their rooms. Though they were meant to rest, apart from Gu Jiu, no one in the house managed to sleep well. In their bedroom, Father and Mother Gu talked sorrowfully about Gu Jiu's upcoming departure to the countryside. Zhao Suying recounted how thoughtful and obedient their daughter had always been, weeping at the thought of her enduring hardship far away. Gu Weigua tried his best to soothe her, and the two tossed and turned deep into the night before they finally drifted off. The same went for Gu Jian and Gu Jijin. Gu Jijin kept talking about how kind his sister had always been, vowing he would take good care of her in the future and give her all the best things life had to offer. Eldest brother listened and nodded constantly. He too thought their younger sister was sweet and considerate, and he wished he could take her place and go to the countryside instead. Lost in conversation, the two stayed up very late as well. When Gu Jiu got up the next morning, she saw dark circles beneath every member of her family's eyes. What's going on? They all look just like giant pandas. Could it be that they were upset I didn't receive a panda reward, so they're trying to make up for it? Gu Jiu quickly worked out the truth. Judging by how her family treated her, they must have stayed awake grieving over her departure. Still, all things considered, sending Gu Jiu to the countryside truly was the optimal choice. For one thing, it protected Gu Jijin's future. For another, there were her own reasons. Although she and the original host were the same soul from different timelines, their personalities were vastly different. She could pretend to be the gentle, soft-spoken original host for a short while, but she would inevitably expose herself over time. The original host had grown up sheltered by her family, mild and quiet. Gu Jiu had survived by her own wits, straightforward and casual. Their temperaments clashed far too much. She did not want the difference to damage her bond with this family, the first real family she had ever gained. It pained her to leave too. She hadn't even spent enough time enjoying their company. Yet leaving was necessary. She was originally from Northeast China in her past life, so she would adapt easily there. More importantly, she could use the experience of rural life to explain any changes in her personality. Even talking to her family the day before had forced her to speak in a gentle, subdued tone, and she had found it incredibly draining. Change was inevitable. She refused to keep putting on that soft, demure act forever. When Gu Jiu stepped out of her room, Zhao Suiying called to her at once. "Darling, come and eat. I steamed you an egg custard." She handed the bowl over. "I've sent your brother to school to request 2 days leave for you. Rest well at home these 2 days and build up your strength." Gu Jijin hurriedly shoveled congee into his mouth. "Right, sister, rest at home. I'll get the leave approved for you." Father Gu and eldest brother hurried through breakfast, as it was nearly time for work. Father Gu said between mouthfuls, "I've already been to the sub-district office. Au will be sent to Harbin, Heilongjiang province. Suiying, start gathering supplies. We don't need to rush with heavy winter coats. We can mail thick cotton clothes and quilts to her later." "I know what to do," Zhao Suiying replied. A thought suddenly struck Gu Jiu. "I'll head to school with Jijin today. I'm leaving for the countryside soon, and I've already finished all the high school coursework. I'd like to apply to receive my graduation diploma early." Zhao Suiying's face lit up. "That's right. How could I forget? A high school diploma will give you more chances if recruitment opportunities come up in the countryside." But doubt crept into her mind. "Darling, are you certain you can pass? We can forget about it if you aren't confident." Gu Jiu nodded firmly. "Don't worry, Mom. I've gone through all the textbooks. I know the material well enough to earn my diploma." Reassured, Zhao Suiying knew her daughter never lied and was always reliable. "Very well. Go to school with Jijin and talk to your teachers." He thought he was his sister's most dependable brother. "Enough. Finish your breakfast." Father Gu cut in to stop their little argument. At Gu Weigua's words, Zhao Suiying fell silent, and Gu Jijin closed his mouth, still looking displeased. Gu Jiu patted his hand to comfort him. Gu Jiu thought to herself, so this is what a family feels like. Breakfast can be this lively. When I come back from the countryside, I want our home to be even more bustling than this. Once breakfast was over, everyone set off to carry out their tasks. Father Gu and eldest brother left for work. Mother Gu went shopping for Gu Jiu's rural supplies, and Gu Jiu headed to school alongside her younger brother. Upon arriving at school, Gu Jiu first sought out her teacher to ask about receiving her high school diploma ahead of schedule. Her teacher was initially hesitant. When she heard Gu Jiu plan to go to the countryside, she looked utterly shocked. "Gu Jiu, your health is poor. You shouldn't need to be rusticated. Is there trouble at home? Would you like me to help?" Gu Jiu saw the teacher looking at her with pity and realized she had misunderstood. "It's nothing like that, teacher. I volunteered to go to the countryside. I've finished all the high school curriculum already. So I wondered if I could take the examinations early for my diploma. My family treats me very well, truly." Realizing she had jumped to the wrong conclusion, the teacher said, "In that case, I'll speak to the principal and see if we can arrange your exams today." It should be possible. Many young people preparing for rustication come to take their graduation exams early. As long as you've covered all the textbook material, there shouldn't be any issues. Gu Jiu brightened with joy. "Thank you so much, teacher." It seemed many students were applying for early graduation examinations. The principal quickly granted permission. She would need to sit 4 exams: Chinese, mathematics, politics, and basic industry and agriculture knowledge. Gu Jiu resolved to finish all 4 exams in one go. Before the tests began, she found Gu Zijin, told him about her examinations, and said he should eat lunch on his own, as she would head straight home once she finished. Gu Zijin hated the thought of his sister sitting exams on an empty stomach, but he agreed after she assured him she would finish well before midday. Sure enough, she completed all the papers before 12 o'clock and successfully obtained her graduation diploma. The examinations were simple for her. The original host had always been intelligent and an avid reader with solid academic foundations. Combined with Gu Jiu's own experience as a top student in her past life, the test posed no challenge at all. It was a complete breeze. She bid Gu Zijin farewell and headed home happily clutching her diploma. There was a simple reason for her delight. Who wouldn't celebrate acing every challenge? Gu Jiu was overjoyed. This marked the first time she had achieved full marks across every subject, not even losing a single point on her Chinese composition. If her physical condition and the expectations of others hadn't limited her, she would have loved to spin around and leap for joy the moment she walked out. When Gu Jiu arrived home, Mother Gu had already returned. Holding out her diploma like a treasure, she waved it in front of Zhao Suying. "Mom, look. I've got my graduation diploma." Zhao Suying lit up with delight, exactly as Gu Jiu had hoped. "My clever girl. You've brought your diploma home so quickly." Seeing how excited her mother was, as if she wanted to frame the diploma and hang it on the wall, Gu Jiu quickly changed the subject. "Mom, I'm hungry. Have you eaten?" "Oh dear, my darling hasn't had lunch yet." Zhao Suying slapped her thigh. "I just cooked noodles. We can eat together, and I'll fry you an egg too." "No need, Mom." Gu Jiu held her back. "Plain noodles are fine. After we eat, I'd love to see everything you've bought for me." Zhao Suying remembered her purchases. "Right? Hurry and eat. Afterward, we can sort through everything. You leave for the countryside in a week. We can ship most items to your destination in advance. You'll only need to carry a small bag with you when you travel. The parcels should arrive at the local post office shortly after you get off the train, and you can collect them there." Once they finished eating, mother and daughter began sorting their purchases, separating items to be mailed. Gu Jiu knelt beside the towering pile of goods her mother had bought and sighed. "It looks like you've cleared out the supply store." Zhao Suying shot her a sideways glance. "Who am I doing all this for?" Gu Jiu smiled apologetically. "I know you're doing it all for me. I just hate to see you tire yourself out carrying all these things back alone. You should have waited for me to help. Are you worn out? Let me massage your shoulders." She rose to her feet as she spoke. Zhao Suying grabbed Gu Jiu. "I'm not tired. Besides, with your frail frame, carrying all these things would wear you out. I can manage on my own." "Mom, I love you so much." Gu Jiu threw her arms around Zhao Suying. "You're truly the best to me." "Ouch, be careful." Zhao Suying patted Gu Jiu's arm. "You're all grown up and still acting like a child. Now that you know I care for you, look after yourself and don't make me worry. Every time I think about you going to the countryside, my heart stays in my throat. I'm terrified something might happen to you." Watching her mother's eyes well up with tears, Gu Jiu thought, "No, I've made her cry again." She clung to Zhao Suying and coaxed her playfully. "Don't worry about me, Mom. I've inherited your wits, so I'll definitely take good care of myself. Set your mind at ease. Let's hurry to sort these belongings and send them off. I also want you to teach me how to cook." Zhao Suying's tears dried at once. "That's right. You have to learn cooking. Let's get everything sorted, and I'll teach you later." The two of them began sorting the parcels to be mailed. Gu Jiu hadn't exaggerated when she said her mother had nearly cleared out the supply and marketing cooperative. She looked over all the purchases Zhao Suying had made: dungaree work suits, long trousers, canvas rubber-soled shoes, rain boots, rain capes, enamel basins, soap, clamshell moisturizer, tooth powder, aluminum lunch boxes, sewing kits, scissors, matches. Zhao Suying had also somehow bought an iron wok. There were malted milk, pastries, fruit candies, white rabbit creamy candy, kerosene lamps, even a straw hat, plus countless other odds and ends. Even so, Zhao Suying told Gu Jiu, "This is all we can buy for today. We've used up every ration ticket at home. I've asked your father to trade tickets with his co-workers at the factory. Once he gets more tickets, we'll buy whatever else you need." Gu Jiu nodded. As she tidied things, Zhao Suying continued talking. "Later, pack your clothes from your room and all your daily necessities. Pick out what you want mailed to the countryside. You can take your current quilt with you when you leave. I'll save more tickets to make thick cotton-padded clothes and a heavy quilt for you, and mail them before the cold weather arrives. Zhao Suying's careful, repeated instructions filled Gu Jiyu with warmth, a motherly affection she had never known in her previous life. Mom, I love you the most. Silly girl, go pack your things. Zhao Suying smiled and chided her gently. Gu Jiyu turned and headed to her room to sort her belongings. Truly, a child with a mother is cherished. In her last life, she had been all alone with no one to rely on. Meanwhile, Gu Weiwei was busy at the factory. During his lunch break, he sought out his co-workers to trade ration tickets. Gu Weiwei found Xia Jiangwo, who had just finished work, and lowered his voice. Old Xia, could you spare some cloth coupons and cotton coupons? I'll trade with you. Do you have any industrial vouchers? I'd like to if you do. Xia Jiangwo raised an eyebrow with a grin. Old Gu, why do you need so many tickets all at once? Gu Weiwei sighed softly, sympathy shining in his eyes. What else? Our Au has a weak constitution, and she's heading to the countryside in a few days. Life out there is tough. I want to stock up enough supplies for her, but I'm short of tickets right now, so I have to come to you for help. Xia Jiangwo's smile faded, replaced by surprise. Why must it be your Au going to the countryside? With her poor health, she ought to be exempted. Gu Weiwei shook his head helplessly. There's no other way. Au is far too sensible. If she doesn't go, her younger brother Ajin will have to. She hates the thought of holding Ajin back and ruining his future, so she volunteered to go to the countryside. Xia Jiangwo sighed in admiration. Au is such a bright, thoughtful girl, yet saddled with a delicate body. She'll have a hard time out in the countryside. He paused for a moment and spoke again. I don't have that many tickets on me today. Let me check at home, and I'll bring them to you tomorrow. Gu Weiwei said gratefully, Old Xia, I can't thank you enough. Come over to my house for dinner someday, and we'll have a proper drink. Xia Jiangwo stared at him. Old Gu, you're treating me like a stranger. We're brothers. How could I refuse to help when you're in trouble? You're right, you're right. I just thought it's been ages since we shared a meal. Don't be so quick to get riled up. Gu Weiwei laughed. Hearing that, Xia Jiangwo said, Exactly. Even our names are meant for us to be good brothers. Come to me whenever you need something. Gu Weiwei chuckled. Very well, but the dinner invitation still stands. Once we sort out everything for Au, come over and we'll feast together. After Xia Jiangwo agreed, Gu Weiwei said, I'm going to ask a few more people to try to get more tickets. Go ahead. Xia Jiangwo waved his hand. I'll bring the tickets from my home tomorrow. Gu Weiwei spent the whole lunch break running errands. He looked at the stack of ration tickets in his hand. With the ones Xia Jiangwo would bring tomorrow, he hoped it would be enough. If not, he would keep saving and gather everything before winter set in. He carefully tucked the tickets away. It was nearly time to return to work for the afternoon shift. Back at home, Gu Jiyu stared blankly at the 3 large bundles at her feet. How can there be so much stuff? And we haven't even packed the thick cotton-padded clothes and winter quilts yet. Seeing Gu Jiyu's stunned expression, Zhao Suying said, You're not staying in the countryside for just a few days. Daily life requires countless small items. This isn't even everything. You can buy whatever you're missing once you arrive. Gu Jiyu nodded. Mom, let's hire a handcart to haul these things to the post office for shipping. No need. Zhao Suying waved her hand. I arranged one this morning. It should arrive any minute now. Just then, someone knocked at the door. You really plan ahead, Mom. Gu Jiyu gave Zhao Suying a thumbs up. Go open the door quickly. Gu Jiyu and her mother waited quite a while at the post office before finishing mailing all the parcels. By the time everything was settled, it was almost time to cook dinner, so they hurried home. In the kitchen, the mother and daughter prepared the ingredients for the evening meal. Zhao Suying tied an apron around Gu Jiyu's waist and motioned her to stand by the stove. The dishes tonight are simple. You cook them and I'll guide you. Gu Jiyu nodded. All right. Watch closely, I'll show you. Following Zhao Suying's instructions, Gu Jiyu stir-fried the vegetables with smooth, practiced movements. In her previous life, Gu Jiyu had earned enough money to cover all her university tuition and living expenses with her cooking skills. She wasn't boasting. Preparing these simple dishes was well within her abilities. Zhao Suying praised her repeatedly. Truly my daughter. You've inherited my quick mind. You pick up cooking so fast. Gu Jiyu didn't want to spend excessive time learning cooking, so she wore a proud expression. That's right, she was naturally gifted, especially when it came to cooking. She planned to show off her talent for cooking and only learn a little more from her mother. Chatting as they worked, the two soon finished making dinner. The rest of the Goof family returned home one after another. They were surprised to see the spread on the table. "Mom, why is dinner so lavish today?" Gu Zhijin pulled out a chair and reached out to taste a dish straight away. Zhao Suying slapped his hand away. "Go wash your hands first." "Oh." Gu Zhijin pulled his hand back and rushed to wash up. Gu Weiwei smiled and asked, "What made you cook so many dishes tonight?" Gu Zhiyu grinned. "Dad, everyone should try the food. I made all of it. Since I'm heading to the countryside soon, I asked Mom to teach me cooking. Turns out I'm a fast learner. Mom says I have real talent for cooking. Taste it quickly." Father Gu smiled and replied, "Great. I'll make sure to eat plenty. I'm eager to try my younger sister's cooking too," Gu Jian added, looking forward to the meal. Soon the whole family sat around the table. Everyone kept praising Gu Jiyu's cooking as they ate. The non-stop compliments left Gu Jiyu not knowing how to respond. Meat was a rare treat in those days. The only meat dish on the table was tomatoes scrambled with eggs. The rest were fried greens and potatoes. Yet they ate as if they were feasting on delicacies. At last, the meal ended amid constant praise. Gu Jiyu discreetly wiped sweat from her forehead and exhaled. It was finally over. After dinner, the Gu family gathered in the living room to discuss the day's arrangements. Gu Weiwei pulled a stack of ration tickets from his pocket and handed them to Zhao Suying. "These are the tickets I traded for today. Old Xie will bring his tickets tomorrow. See how many more we still need." "Dad, I have some too." Gu Jian took money and tickets out of his pocket. "I traded these with my master today. The money is all I've saved." "Take it, Mom. If Ao still lacks supplies, I can try to get more tickets." "It's enough. Zhao Suying quickly said. "We still have some tickets at home. Your salary isn't high, and you can't keep troubling your master. If we fall short, we can slowly save more. Winter is still far off. We have plenty of time." Gu Jiyu cut in. "Mom has already prepared so many things. We sent 3 large parcels to the post office today. Apart from thick cotton, padded clothes and quilts, there's no need to buy much else." "I know. Your mother has everything planned." Gu Weiwei squeezed Zhao Suying's hand. "You must be worn out after all that work today." Zhao Suying's cheeks flushed, and she pulled her hand away quickly. "The children are right here. Mind your manners." The 3 Gu siblings exchanged glances, feeling as though they had just been fed a mouthful of sweet affection. This is what love between parents looks like. At that moment, Gu Zhijin took a small box from his room and pressed it into Gu Jiyu's hands. "Sister, these are all my savings. I'm giving them to you." Inside the box were the small sums of money Gu Zhijin had accumulated over the years, plus a few candies and snacks. Pocket money was scarce back then, and it was clear he had saved every bit with great care. Gu Jiyu felt touched. "I knew my Ajin is good to his sister. Work hard from now on, and I'll be counting on you." While praising him, she also encouraged her younger brother. Gu Zhijin nodded solemnly, clearly taking her words to heart. Gu Weiwei continued the conversation. "Most supplies are ready. We can sort out the thick cotton clothes and quilts gradually. You're leaving for the countryside in a week, Ao. Do you have any plans for these next few days?" "I do," Gu Jiyu answered. "I plan to visit the library and waste collection station to look for books that might be useful to me out in the countryside." Gu Weiwei thought this was a sensible idea. "Reading more books can only benefit you." Zhao Suying added, "I also want to buy some meat to make meat paste and prepare dry rations for you to eat on the journey. The train ride takes 2 whole days. I'll get some fruit for you to take along as well." The family discussed all the preparations they needed to finish over the coming days before going to rest. Back in her room, Gu Jiyu suddenly realized she had been busy all day and forgotten to complete her daily system check-in. The system had been unnervingly quiet. "System, complete daily check-in." Ding. Daily check-in successful. Items have been placed in the system warehouse for host retrieval. There it was, the cold, mechanical voice without a hint of warmth. Gu Jiyu sighed inwardly and opened the system warehouse to see her rewards: 5 gene of rice, 5 gene of wheat flour, 1 gene pork, 5 gene apples, 3 gene national grain coupons, 1 gene oil coupons, and 110 yuan banknote. She hadn't expected ordinary daily check-ins to grant such generous supplies. Now she was confident she wouldn't go hungry in the countryside. She examined the tickets carefully and noticed they were national universal coupons, just like those from her initial welcome gift package. She messaged the system's customer service. "Are all these tickets nationwide valid?" Affirmative. The system only issues national universal ration coupons. Sure enough, it was automated. As a line below the reply read, this message has been automatically generated by a robot. It seemed automated customer service lines were identical across every world. After checking in, Gu Jiu prepared for bed. This body lacked stamina. She hadn't even done strenuous work today, yet she felt utterly drained. She had exhausted herself the previous day, so when Gu Jiu woke up, everyone else had already left home. She walked to the kitchen and found a plate of food kept warm under a cover. She ate, tidied up, and got ready to head out. She had just locked the front door when a sharp, harsh female voice drifted over. Well, look who it is, the precious Gu family daughter. Zhao Suing talks such a good game, but she's clearly biased toward boys. She sends her sickly daughter to the countryside. With that frail body, who knows if she'll ever come back alive. Gu Jiu turned toward the voice. The speaker was her neighbor, Wang Zhaodi, a sharp-tongued woman with an unkind look. She had always clashed with Zhao Suing. Having suffered hardship in her own family, she begrudged the care Zhao Suing showered on Gu Jiu and constantly made snide remarks. Gu's mother had quarreled with her countless times. What an unpleasant stench! Gu Jiu waved a hand in front of her nose. Who forgot to brush their teeth this morning? That breath is terrible. I'd better stay far away. My health is fragile. I might fall ill from the fumes. She turned to the watching women beside her. Aunties, am I not right? Don't engage with people who have such foul breath, or you might end up smelling unpleasant too. The onlooking women exchanged confused glances. Wang Zhaodi's words had been cruel, but none of them had ever seen the usually gentle Gu girl speak so sharply. Wang Zhaodi flew into a rage. You sickly little girl. Who are you calling foul-mouthed? I'm only speaking up for you. Your mother favors your brother over you. Why send you, the weaker one, to the countryside? She simply doesn't want to care for you. You're ungrateful and refuse to recognize kindness. Spare me your fake kindness. Do you even know what kindness means? Gu Jiu rolled her eyes. Instead of meddling in other people's family affairs, you ought to fix your own household. We're the same age. My brother stands almost 1.8 meters tall, while your son hasn't even hit 1.5 meters. You'd better reflect on yourself. Could all those unkind deeds you've done be stunting your son's growth? Wang Zhaodi's head spun with anger, and she surged forward. You wicked girl, spreading nonsense. I'll tear your mouth apart. The women nearby hurried to hold her back. Why fight with a child? This only angered Wang Zhaodi further. Am I overreacting? Did you hear what she said? She shows no respect for her elders. I ought to discipline her for her mother. Yu Guilan, who was on good terms with Zhao Suing, spoke up. If you hadn't run your mouth first, gentle Au would never have spoken like that. Besides, what right do you have to act as an elder and discipline her? You're not qualified. Wang Zhaodi turned her anger toward Yu Guilan. I'm just telling the truth. If Zhao Suing doesn't want people talking, she shouldn't send her sickly daughter to the countryside. What they do is open for discussion. This left Yu Guilan momentarily lost for words. She turned to Gu Jiu. Au, tell me. Why does your family have you go to the countryside? Gu Jiu explained. Auntie, don't listen to this malicious gossip. I volunteered to go. Mom would never willingly send me away. Her words stunned the surrounding women. Yu Guilan quickly grabbed her arm. Child, are you out of your mind? The countryside is no easy place. With your delicate health, how will you endure the hardship? Your brother is far stronger than you. Why volunteer? Exactly. She barely leaves home, only reading all day. Has studying made her lose her senses? Everyone tries to avoid going, yet she volunteers. Listening to the whispers, Gu Jiu knew she needed to explain the full reason. Otherwise, rumors would twist the story beyond recognition. Aunties, let me explain. My younger brother plans to join the army after graduating high school next year. If he goes to the countryside now, his future will be ruined. I'm different. Even though I'm not strong, I can take on lighter work out there. Mom and Dad will never abandon me. I don't want to ruin my brother's prospects. Also, Gu Jiu glanced at Wang Zhaodi. Before I left, Mom bought piles of supplies at the Supply and Marketing Cooperative. We mailed 3 large parcels at the post office. We passed your doorway on the way, Aunt Wang, you must have seen us. Mom used up all our ration tickets preparing for me. I can't understand why you spread slander about her. Everyone here knows how well she has treated me all these years. She was heartbroken worrying about me when I said I would leave for the countryside. The women listening nodded, convinced by her words. One aunt said, that's true. Suing has always doted on Au. She would never deliberately send her daughter to suffer. Another echoed her. Just so. If she didn't care for the girl, she wouldn't have bought so many supplies to send with her. Yu Guilan shouted at Wang Zhaodi. You have a bitter, twisted heart to spread such lies. Everyone knows what kind of person Suing is. You're miserable in your own life and can't bear seeing others happy. You ought to stay locked inside your house instead of stirring trouble. If you upset Au and make her fall ill, just wait until Suing hears of this. She'll have words with you. Hearing Yu Guilan's rebuke, Gu Jiu pressed a hand to her forehead and swayed as if dizzy, tears welling in her eyes. Aunt Wang, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to speak harshly. I just couldn't bear hearing you badmouth my mother. Won't you forgive me? A nearby aunt hurried to support her. Child, there's nothing for you to apologize for. She wouldn't dare blame you. None of this would have happened if she hadn't started spreading rumors. Yu Guilan stepped in front of Gu Jiu and glared at Wang Zhaodi. Don't be afraid, Au. I'm here. If she bothers you again, come straight to me, and I'll stand up for you. Gu Jiu clutched Yu Guilan's hand, eyes glistening. Thank you, Auntie. Without all of you here, I would have been in trouble. It's all my fault for losing my temper. What if, tut, don't say such things. Nothing bad is going to happen. Yu Guilan quickly cut her off. It's all Wang Zhaodi running her mouth. This has nothing to do with you. Don't get worked up. Take care of your health. Thank you, Auntie. The villagers chattered back and forth, infuriating Wang Zhaodi so much that she lost consciousness. One of the women spotted her. Look, Wang Zhaodi's fainted. What? She passed out. What should we do? We ought to take her home. We can't just leave her lying on the road. Seeing this, Gu Jiu hurried forward. It's all my fault. I'll walk Aunt Wang home. Yu Guilan immediately held her back. You're far too slight to help her. Weren't you heading out? Off you go. We'll get her home. With that, she called over several other women, and they hoisted Wang Zhaodi up between them. Gu Jiu thanked them profusely, pulled a few White Rabbit creamy candies out of her pocket, and slipped them into their hands. Thank you so much, aunts. When the women felt the candies, they pulled them out, ready to hand them back. Child, these are such precious treats. We can't take them. This is just a small favor between neighbors. Take these candies back. That's right, keep them. Ignoring their outstretched hands, Gu Jiu turned to leave. I'm off now, aunts. Please keep the candies to sweeten your mouths. Their hands hung suspended in mid-air, and they exchanged glances. Yu Guilan spoke up. The girl is thoughtful. If she's offering them, take them. Let's get Wang Zhaodi home first. They tucked the candies back into their pockets and carried Wang Zhaodi toward her house. Once she walked out of the alley, Gu Jiu thought about Wang Zhaodi collapsing from anger and rolled her eyes inwardly. With such poor stamina, she dared come out picking fights? If she hadn't been trying to maintain Gu Jiu's original mild-mannered reputation, she would have slapped her the moment Wang Zhaodi opened her mouth. Then a pleased thought crossed her mind. My act of appearing gentle and wronged worked wonderfully. It matches this delicate persona perfectly. Playing the mild, innocent type really is a handy tactic. Lost in thought, Gu Jiu headed toward the waste collection station. She planned to stop there first, then eat lunch at the state-run restaurant. The rest of the Gu family would not be home at noon, so she could spend the whole day out. Over the next few days, she intended to wander around and test whether she would receive different rewards from the system if she checked in at various locations. When Gu Jiu reached the entrance of the waste collection station, the sight before her matched exactly what she had imagined. A small side room beside the gate served as the watchman's office. An elderly man wearing a patched canvas work jacket sat at a desk inside, with a wooden steelyard and an account book beside him. Gu Jiu was about to step inside when a voice halted her. Young girl, what are you doing here? Who said you could come in? Noticing the old man's displeasure, Gu Jiu realized entry to the waste station was not unrestricted. She pulled a handful of fruit candies from her pocket and set them on the table before him. Grandpa, I'm looking for some books to read and old newspapers to line my walls. I'd appreciate your help. She wasn't here hunting for cheap scraps? Hearing her explanation and seeing how courteously she acted, the old man's expression softened. Books are stacked at the very back. 10 cents per gene. Don't touch anything else. Bring whatever you pick over for me to inspect. Once granted permission, Gu Jiu walked into the storage warehouse. The space was divided into several sections. Broken tables and chairs and damaged wooden furniture lined the walls, piles of scrap timber stacked neatly further in, and bundles of old books and newspapers were sorted into separate stacks. Every corner was crammed full of assorted waste. However, the air reeked of moldy paper and damp timber, an unpleasant odor. Gu Jiu pulled a handkerchief from her pocket, folded it, and tied it over her nose and mouth. It offered limited protection but blocked some of the stench. She knelt beside the mountain of books and began rummaging, searching for what she wanted. She had come specifically looking for the complete set of mathematics, physics, and chemistry review books that were invaluable for the college entrance examination. It was far better to find them now than to scramble desperately later when she truly needed them. Luck favored her, and she quickly found the full set bound together with rope. When she flipped one open, it looked nearly new. The owner had probably sneaked them out and discarded them without their family's knowledge. It was clear the original owner disliked studying. On one page, Gu Jiu spotted a crudely drawn turtle with crude, insulting scribbles beside it. She set the stack of textbooks aside and took the chance to browse other volumes. It was obvious many books had suffered destruction in recent years. All kinds of reading material had ended up here. Besides the science textbooks, there were primary and secondary school textbooks, comic strips, magazines, newspapers, poetry collections, and folk story novels. Truly a little of everything. Huh? What's that? Gu Jiu spotted a thick hardcover book with no markings or words on the cover. Curious, she picked it up and gasped with delight. Wow! This is a treasure. Such a large stamp album. There are Chairman Mao's poetry stamps and military postal stamps inside. Good heavens, this is the whole nation is red stamp. She could hardly believe her luck. To think this is here. I've hit the jackpot. Wait, what's this? She flipped toward the back cover and felt an odd bump beneath her fingers. After careful probing, she discovered a secret compartment. Let me see what treasure is hidden here. She opened the compartment and pulled out an oil, paper parcel. Unfolding it revealed a complete set of unused Taking Tiger Mountain by Strategy stamps, never postmarked. Gu Jiu was ecstatic. She stole a quick glance toward the gate. Seeing the old watchman was not looking her way, she swiftly stored the stamp album inside her spatial storage, then continued sorting through the piles of books. There were many more valuable items. She had already noticed several medical and herbal texts, though all were missing their covers. Their former owner must have hidden them this way to preserve them, otherwise they would have been burned long ago. Even so, the books were badly damaged. Gu Jiu thought these works deserved preservation. Left here, they would only rot away. If she took them, she could make use of them someday or donate them to the country later. With that thought, she quickened her pace. Finally finished sorting through all these books. I'm worn out. Gu Jiu stood up and rubbed her aching waist. She stared at the small pile of books and newspapers beside her and let out a breath, wiping sweat from her forehead. I already have 10 times this many books in my storage space. Compared to this huge mountain of waste, the difference shouldn't be noticeable. She muttered to herself, briefly uneasy, before resolving her doubts. They'll just go to waste if I don't take them. Never mind. Her gaze drifted toward the piles of broken furniture, and she rubbed her hands eagerly. In every travel novel, the heroine always unearths treasures at waste collection stations. I've transmigrated too. I ought to find something valuable as well, right? She adopted the mindset. Any find is a gain, and there's no loss if I find nothing. She turned her attention to the mounds of wooden scrap. Most pieces were broken beyond recognition. Gu Jiu skipped the unidentifiable debris and headed toward old dressing tables and cabinets. She tapped tabletops and legs, but could not detect anything hidden inside. Still, she found several delicate jewelry boxes, badly chipped and faded yet ornate. While the watchman's attention was diverted, she slipped the jewelry boxes and 2 small decorative ornaments into her storage space. She casually picked out 2 small wooden stools that could be repaired, gathered her selected books and newspapers, and walked over to pay the watchman. Seeing the stools, the old man frowned. I thought you only wanted books. Gu Jiu quickly explained. After finding the books, I saw these stools and thought my father could fix them for home use. Could you make an exception for me, Grandpa? The old man checked the stools thoroughly and confirmed nothing was concealed inside. They can be restored. 1 yuan for the 2. He continued sorting through her pile of books. 3 jean of newspapers will cost 15 cents. This complete set of textbooks has no missing pages, only worn edges. Altogether, the books and 2 stools come to 3 yuan and 50 cents. Gu Jiu considered the price. 2 yuan 50 for the textbooks was reasonable, but she decided to bargain slightly. Grandpa, could you cut me a deal? My mother only gave me just over 3 yuan today to buy books and newspapers. I've already spent 1 yuan on the stools. I'm a little short on cash. She put on a worried expression, pulled a handful of loose banknotes and coins from her pocket, counted them out, 3 yuan and 36 cents, and held them out. This is all I have. Please, sell them to me. The old man hesitated. Well, seeing her chance, Gu Jiu handed over 2 more candies. Very well, you can have them. Don't go telling anyone I gave you a discount, though. Won over by her politeness, the old man relented. Joy lit up Gu Jiu's face. She bowed respectfully. Thank you. I won't mention it to anyone. Take your things and go. The old man waved her away, closing his eyes and paying her no further heed. Gu Jiu carried her purchases out of the waste station. Once she reached an empty stretch of road, she stowed everything into her system storage. She reflected on what had just happened. 2 candies worth 2 cents saved her 14 cents. Her haggling had succeeded. Gu Jiu decided to treat herself to a meal at the state-run restaurant to celebrate her first successful bargain in the 1970s. She turned down an alley, walked another 500 meters, and arrived at the state-run restaurant. It was lunch hour, and the dining hall was crowded, with a few empty seats still available. Gu Jiu hurried to place her order. Glancing at the daily menu chalkboard, she said to the server, "Comrade, 1 serving of braised eggplant, tomato scrambled eggs, braised pork, winter melon and shrimp soup, and 2 liangs of rice." That's far too much. You won't finish it. Wasting food isn't allowed, the server frowned. Gu Jiu pulled 2 lunch boxes out of her canvas bag. Don't worry, comrade. I'll take whatever I can't finish home. Seeing the lunch boxes and confirming she would not waste food, the server said, 1 yuan 27 cents plus 2 liangs of grain tickets. Gu Jiu handed over the money and tickets. The server accepted them and passed her a number token. Wait for your number to be called to collect your food. All right. Gu Jiu found an empty seat and thought to herself, system sign in. Ding. Sign in successful. Rewards transferred to system storage. Gu Jiu opened her storage space and smiled to herself. Sure enough, the rewards carried the scent of food from the state-run restaurant. Her rewards were braised pork ×5, braised fish ×5, sliced pork with green peppers ×5, tomato scrambled eggs ×5, braised eggplant ×5, Yangzhou noodles ×5, meat buns ×5, Master Chef's secret braised beef ×5. Her mouth watered as she read the list. All previous rewards came in sets of 5 portions, but the braised beef reward was 5 whole jin. In this era, when meat was hard to come by even with money and tickets, 5 jin of braised beef was unimaginable. System, you're incredibly generous. Thank you, System. She was so stunned by the braised beef reward that she failed to hear the server calling her to collect her meal. It took the server's second call to snap her back to reality. Oh, coming. As she fetched the dishes, the server stared at her. Were you zoning out? Did you expect me to carry your food over for you? Restaurant staff held plenty of authority in this period. A sign on the wall even prohibited unjustified harassment of customers. Gu Jiu quickly offered a bright smile. I'm so sorry, beautiful sister. I was distracted and didn't hear you call. She slipped 2 white rabbit creamy candies into the server's palm. The server was only around 20 years old. She had felt a flicker of envy at Gu Jiu's attractive features, but the girl's sweet smile, compliment, and candies made her cheeks flush. No need to call me beautiful sister. My name is Zhao Na. You can call me Sister Na. I've got a moment free right now. You ordered so many dishes, I'll help you carry them to your table. Gu Jiu's smile grew warmer. Thank you, Sister Na. You're truly lovely. They brought the food over to the table together. Zhao Na said, You've got such a sweet tongue for your age. The chef's braised pork here is legendary. Make sure you try it. I will. I'll savor every bite, now that you've recommended it. Enjoy your meal, Zhao Na said before returning to the counter. The freshly served dishes looked incredibly appetizing. Chunks of braised pork glistened deep reddish, brown, the pork skin slightly wrinkled, rich sauce clinging to alternating layers of fat and lean meat. The braised eggplant was glossy purple, soaked through with sauce yet intact, coated in a thin layer of oil. Bright yellow eggs tangled with red tomato in the tomato scrambled eggs. The tangy sauce looked perfect over rice. Beside them sat a clear winter melon and shrimp soup, pale melon slices mixed with tiny golden shrimp, light and refreshing. The aroma alone told her the chef was highly skilled. Gu Jiu picked up a piece of braised pork first. The fat had stewed so thoroughly it melted on her tongue, while the lean meat remained tender and juicy, seasoned perfectly with salt and sweetness without feeling greasy. A bite of braised eggplant was soft and juicy, savory sauce bursting on her palate. The tomato scrambled eggs balanced the richness of the meat, the bright acidity cutting through oiliness, the tender eggs swimming in sauce ideal for mixing with rice. She spooned a bowl of winter melon shrimp soup. Its light, fresh taste washed away the heavy richness of the meat. She slowly ate her 2 liangs of rice, alternating bites of meat and vegetables, sipping soup in between. The dining hall hummed with chatter, yet the warm meal before her brought a rare sense of peace. She savored every mouthful. The Gu family lived reasonably comfortably, but her original body had required expensive medical care to recover. Meat tickets were hard to obtain, and she had not tasted meat since arriving in this time period. What was more, her body was still weak. Without the nourishing pills she had taken these past 2 days, she would not have dared eat such rich food. She finished her meal contentedly, packed the leftovers into her lunch boxes, and stored them in her spatial storage via her backpack before walking over to chat with Zhao Na at the counter. Sister Na, do you have any meat buns available? I'd like to buy a few to take home for my family. Zhao Na hesitated for a moment when she heard the request. Gu Jiu noticed her hesitation and pulled another handful of white rabbit candies from her pocket, pressing them into Zhao Na's hands. Please, Sister Na. I only need a small number. Zhao Na glanced at the candies inside. Very well. I'll check with the kitchen. Shortly afterward, Zhao Na returned carrying an oil paper package. 6 buns. 1 jiao fan plus 3 liangs of grain tickets. Gu Jiu handed over the payment. Thank you, Sister Na. Zhao Na shot her an amused look. You ought to thank me. The head chef told me to tell customers we're out of buns. I wouldn't have bothered asking for you if you weren't so pleasant and good-looking. Gu Jiu realized Zhao Na was the chef's daughter. She pulled an apple from her pocket. Sister Na, please take this apple. What do you take me for? I don't need an apple as a favor, Zhao Na said, pretending to be offended. Gu Jiu quickly smoothed things over. I know you don't need it. I just wanted to share it with you because you've been so kind. Don't be upset, it doesn't suit you. Zhao Na softened at her playful, sincere tone and accepted the apple. All right then. I haven't asked your name yet. Relieved the tension passed, Gu Jiu hoped to build a closer relationship so she could purchase more food through Zhao Na later. My name is Gu Jiu. You can call me Xiaoyu. Zhao Na blinked. Xiaoyu? The fish that swims in water. No. You as an elm tree. Gu Jiu replied. Why that character? The fish you sounds much nicer. My father originally chose you meaning jade, but I was frail from childhood. My family hoped I would grow strong like a young tree, so they picked the elm you instead. Zhao Na nodded in understanding. That makes sense. I thought you looked pale and wondered if you were unwell. Before Gu Jiu could reply, more customers arrived. She quickly stowed the buns in her backpack and bid Zhao Na farewell. Sister Na, I won't keep you. I'll come visit again sometime. Take care on your way, Xiaoyu, Zhao Na answered before turning to serve the new patrons. After leaving the state-run restaurant, Gu Jiu headed for Dacheng Pharmacy. The nourishing pills from the system worked remarkably well, and she planned to buy ingredients following the pill recipe to make a supply for herself. She soon reached Dacheng Pharmacy. Straightening her coat, she stepped through its wooden entrance. A strong aroma of herbal medicine, sweetened by honey, processed herbs, wrapped around her the moment she walked inside. A full wall of traditional Chinese medicine cabinets stood opposite the door, countless small drawers lined neatly, each labeled with the name of an herb in black characters on white paper. Behind the counter stood 2 elderly workers in blue canvas uniforms. One sorted medicinal slices, while the other weighed herbs for a customer using a small balance scale. She walked to the empty counter, laid out a neatly folded prescription on the wooden surface, and spoke softly. Master, could you prepare all the herbs listed here? I also wonder if the pharmacy can process them into honeyed pills for me. The pharmacist lifted his head, scanned the prescription carefully, tracing each ingredient with his fingertip. We can make honeyed pills for an extra processing fee. This prescription is for physical conditioning, isn't it? Gu Jiu nodded. She glanced toward the back room where herbs were ground and lowered her voice. This formula is for my private recuperation. I would appreciate it if you could keep it confidential and not share it with others. The pharmacist set down his balance scale, his expression growing solemn. Rest assured, young lady. State-run pharmacies follow strict rules. We never disclose private prescriptions. The weighing and pill making can all happen within your sight. I will return your original prescription once we finish, and we will not keep any copy here. How much will it cost for 10 batches of herbs processed into pills? Gu Jiu asked. The pharmacist pointed to several ingredients on the prescription. Several costly herbs are included. One batch costs 3 yuan and 50 cents. We cannot dispense ginseng without a certificate issued by a hospital, however. Gu Jiu pulled a medical certificate from her pocket. I have suffered poor health since childhood and need regular conditioning. This is documentation from my hospital examination. Will this suffice? The pharmacist glanced over the document and nodded. That works. 10 batches will cost 35 yuan, plus 20 cents processing fee, totaling 35 yuan and 20 cents. As she handed over the money, Gu Jiu silently felt lucky. Thank goodness I brought the certificate. Otherwise, I would have made this trip for nothing. Once he finished weighing the herbs, the pharmacist returned the certificate to her. Drying the newly formed pills will take time. They will not dry thoroughly today. Come back at this same hour tomorrow to collect them. Very well, thank you for your trouble. I'll come pick it up tomorrow. Gu Jiu folded up the certificate and nodded. Stepping out of the pharmacy, Gu Jiu checked the time. It was still early, yet she had no desire to head home right away. She was wondering where she could go when someone rode past on a bicycle beside her. The person wore army green clothing, and a parcel hung from the back of the bike. Through a gap in the wrapping, Gu Jiu caught a glimpse of numerous envelopes tucked inside. Envelopes? That's right. The post office. An idea suddenly came to Gu Jiu. Thinking of the stamp album stored inside her space, she instantly knew what to do. She would go to the post office and buy stamps. Stamps from this era would hold great collectible value decades later. Even if she never collected them, she would need to send letters once she went to the countryside, so stocking up would not be a mistake. The post office was not far away. A 10-minute walk brought her to the entrance. She had come here with Zhao Suing the previous day to send parcels, so she was familiar with the layout. She walked straight to the letter service counter. Comrade, I'd like to buy stamps. The female clerk looked up at Gu Jiu. It's you. You sent several large parcels at the counter over there yesterday. Are you being sent down to the countryside? As she spoke, she pulled out a few stamps and held them out. Will these be enough? Comrade, I'd like to buy quite a lot more, Gu Jiu replied with a smile. Once I move to the countryside, I'll need to send letters. I want to stock up on stamps ahead of time. I'm afraid I won't get the chance to come later. That makes sense. The clerk nodded and retrieved several sheets of stamps. How many would you like? Gu Jiu said to her, Comrade, do you have any older vintage stamps? I'd like to buy those as well. While speaking, she quietly slipped a handful of White Rabbit creamy candies across the counter to the clerk. This. The clerk hesitated. Seeing a chance, Gu Jiu pulled a 1 yuan note from her pocket and handed it over. I'd appreciate your help, comrade. The clerk stared at the candies and money in her hands, then gritted her teeth. Rules were set by people, not carved in stone. The warehouse held countless stamps anyway, and this was a way to bring in revenue for the nation. All right, follow me. The clerk stood up and called over to the clerk at the neighboring counter to watch her station for a moment. She led Gu Jiu toward the storage room at the back and warned her in a low voice. If anyone asks, say you're my niece. My name is Lin Weiing. Don't slip up. I understand, Gu Jiu quickly agreed. Rest assured, I'll be careful. Truly, the post office storage room was stacked high with piles of stamps the moment Gu Jiu stepped inside. Hurry up. Someone might come by any minute. Lin Weiing urged her, and Gu Jiu wasted no time picking out the stamps she wanted. After roughly 10 minutes, Gu Jiu walked over with her selection. Aunt Lin, I finished choosing. Lin Weiing was stunned to see the thick stack of stamps in her hands. So many? Are you certain? I can't take them back if you change your mind later. Aunt Lin, don't worry. I won't regret it. Please calculate the total for me, and I'll pay right away. Seeing how resolute Gu Jiu was, Lin Weiing stopped questioning her and took the stamps to tally up the cost. You have several full sheets plus assorted loose stamps. Altogether that comes to 57 yuan and 82 cents. Gu Jiu pulled out 6 10-yuan notes and handed them over. Lin Weiing accepted the money and reached into her pocket to get change. Gu Jiu pressed her hand down to stop her. Keep the change, Aunt Lin. I have one more small favor to ask. Lin Weiing's expression tightened, ready to turn her down immediately. Gu Jiu quickly added, it's nothing major. If new stamps arrive in the future, could you set some aside for me? Relief washed over Lin Weiing when she heard this. Of course, that's no trouble at all. I'll keep an eye out for you. Without lingering longer, Gu Jiu put the stamps into her bag. Lin Weiying tucked the money away, and the two walked back toward the front counters. Lin Weiying returned to her station, and Gu Jiu bid her farewell before leaving. Once Gu Jiu was gone, the clerk covering her counter asked, "Sister Lin, who was that? You seem quite close." Lin Weiying smiled. "Oh, just my niece from my family's hometown. She had a stomach ache passing the post office and knew I worked here, so she came looking for me. I took her to the outhouse out back." The other clerk nodded. Whether he believed it or not, he turned back to his own work. With no further questions, Lin Weiying said nothing more. Gu Jiu headed home after leaving the post office. She prepared dinner, and when the rest of the Gu family returned home, they showered her with praise. One praised her intelligence, another complimented her cooking. Gu Jiu accepted all their compliments without the slightest modesty. Nearly everything she needed for the countryside was ready. The following days were quiet for Gu Jiu. After picking up her prepared medicinal mixtures, she simply went out each day to different locations for her system check, ins and cooked meals at home. Time slipped by quickly, and soon the day of her departure to the countryside arrived. Everyone in the Gu household got up early. Gu Jiu yawned as she washed up. She had shared a bed with her mother the night before. Zhao Suying had worried endlessly about her life in the countryside, chattering with constant reminders late into the night. "Ayu, come quickly for breakfast. We'll head to the train station to see you off soon," Zhao Suying called out loudly. "I'm coming." Gu Jiu spat out toothpaste foam, rinsed her mouth, and went to the dining table. As she sat down, Zhao Suying continued talking nonstop. "All of you eat quickly. Eldest son, finish your meal and carry your younger sister's luggage outside. And you," Zhao Suying turned and tapped Gu Jijin's arm. "Eat faster, stop dawdling." She then spoke gently to Gu Jiu. "Ayu, your father, your elder brother, and I will see you off. Take your time eating, there's plenty of time." Gu Jiu nodded while continuing to eat. Gu Jijin shoveled the remaining congee into his bowl in a few quick mouthfuls. "I want to go see sister off too." "See her off?" Zhao Suying shot him a sharp look. "You need to head to school." Gu Jijin shook his head stubbornly. "No, I'm going. Sister is going to the countryside in my place. I have to send her off." "That's enough," Father Gu spoke up. "We only have 2 bicycles. I'll ride one with your mother and the luggage. Your elder brother will ride the other with your sister. There isn't room for you." Gu Jijin was about to argue further, but Gu Jiu swallowed her last mouthful of food and spoke. "Aging, listen and go to school. Mum and Dad and elder brother can see me off." "But..." Gu Jijin still looked unhappy. Gu Jiu comforted him softly. "I know you mean well. It's all right. We can write letters to each other often." Gu Jijin's eyes turned red. "Promise me you will." "I promise." "You have to write every chance you get." "I will." Zhao Suying saw that Gu Jijin was ready to keep pestering and tapped him again. "You're a boy. Don't be so sentimental and make your sister comfort you. Finish eating and get to school." Gu Jijin fell silent after his mother's scolding and dared not argue further. He grabbed his school bag to leave for school, then glanced back and winked urgently at Gu Jiu to remind her not to forget their promise to write. Gu Jiu smiled and nodded. After Gu Jijin left for school, the rest packed up and set off to send Gu Jiu to the station. The train bound for the countryside was scheduled to depart at 9 o'clock. The Gu family left home early and arrived at the train station by 8:30. The station was packed with people seeing loved ones off. Occasional sobs drifted through the air. Among those heading to the countryside, some were excited, eager to build a new life in rural areas. Others looked dejected, unwilling to endure hardship far away from their families. No matter their feelings, none could change their fate. Gu Jiu looked over the crowd of young faces and sighed quietly. These young people would spend years stuck in the countryside, and she wondered what they would become when their time there finally ended. Gu Jian carried the luggage, while Gu Weigua and Zhao Suying escorted Gu Jiu onto the train. They wove through the crowded carriage and finally reached Gu Jiu's seat. She had a good spot by the window. After Gu Jian stowed the luggage, he set a small parcel into Gu Jiu's hands. "Mum packed snacks for you. There isn't much. The weather is still mild and food won't keep for long." Zhao Suying added, "Ayu, eat these first. Buy meals on the train when they run out. You have a weak constitution, don't skimp on food." She then leaned close to Gu Jiu's ear and whispered, "Keep your money hidden well. Don't flaunt it. All sorts of people ride trains. Stay vigilant and never wander off alone. Many educated youths are in this carriage. Try to find people you get along with, and go to the washroom with companions. Warmth mixed with sorrow rose in Gu Zhiyu's heart as she heard the unending worry in her mother's voice. She hugged Zhao Suing tightly. Mom, don't worry. I'll be careful and take good care of myself. Look after yourself too. I'll check up on you when I come home to visit. This girl, worrying about me already. Your own health is what keeps me up at night, Zhao Suing said, patting her lightly. Gu Weigua nodded. He wanted to say more to his daughter, yet words failed him. In the end, he only managed one sentence. Don't deprive yourself once you reach the countryside. If you run short of money, send word home. Your father can still earn an income. A father's love was steady and silent. A mother's love was gentle yet passionate. Siblings stood beside one another like intertwined vines, supporting each other. She was incredibly fortunate to gain such a loving family in this life. Gu Zhiyu broke into a bright smile. Dad, Mom, elder brother, please don't worry. I will look after myself well, and I will write home frequently. They wanted to stay and talk longer, but more passengers kept flooding onto the train, forcing them to disembark. Zhao Suing hesitated to let go, but Gu Weigua pulled her back. Suing, we need to get off now. Don't block the other passengers. Zhao Suing reluctantly pulled away and followed him toward the exit, calling back repeatedly. Ayu, remember to send us letters. Gu Zhiyu nodded in reply. The parcels we sent ahead should arrive soon. Remember to collect them. I will. You aren't strong. Ask others to help you carry things and offer small gifts to thank them. Don't try to do everything alone. There's no shame asking for help if you show gratitude. I've remembered everything. Gu Zhiyu watched Zhao Suing walking away with Gu Weigua, and tears suddenly spilled down her cheeks. She had only just gained this family, and now they were separating. An indescribable ache weighed on her chest. A warm hand landed gently on her shoulder and patted her softly. Little sister, don't grieve. I'll take care of Mom, Dad, and aging. Take good care of your health and don't overwork yourself in the countryside. Mom, Dad, and I will all wait for you to come back. Reach out to me if anything happens. Even if my abilities are limited, I will come to you as quickly as I can. Gu Zhiyu could hold back no longer. She turned and buried her face against Gu Zhiyan's chest. Soon, her tears soaked the front of his shirt. Seeing his sister cry so bitterly, Gu Zhiyan hurried to soothe her. All right now. You're a grown young lady. Don't cry and let others laugh at you. I don't care who laughs, Gu Zhiyu mumbled with a stuffy voice. Gu Zhiyan let out a quiet chuckle. Very well. Be good, Ayu. I need to get off the train now or I'll end up going to the countryside with you. At his words, Gu Zhiyu quickly lifted her tear-streaked face from his chest. Elder brother, I won't cry anymore. Hurry and get off. Gu Zhiyan wiped the tears from her cheeks. Sit back down. I'm leaving. His sister's red eyes resembled rabbit eyes, and sadness tugged at his heart. No one knew how long it would be before they met again after this parting. Still, the time had come to say goodbye. The moment Gu Zhiyan stepped off the train, it began to pull away. Gu Zhiyu pressed her face to the window and watched her parents and elder brother wave from the platform. She leaned out and shouted, Mom, Dad, elder brother. I'll take good care of myself. Don't worry about me. Please look after yourselves too. But the train rolled farther and farther away. She could no longer make out the words they shouted, and slowly, their figures vanished entirely from sight. Gu Zhiyu sat back against her seat and closed her eyes. She had not lost her family again, yet she was thousands of kilometers away from them. She could no longer feel their love close at hand, and sorrow gnawed at her heart. The noisy chatter around her faded into the background. She was too upset to pay attention to those nearby. After some time, her mood gradually calmed. She thought of her system. This was the perfect moment to see what reward she would receive for checking in on the train. She silently spoke in her mind. System, complete daily check-in. Ding. Daily check-in completed. Supplies have been stored in system space. You may access them whenever you wish. She opened the space inventory, and her eyes lit up. 1 gene pork jerky, 1 gene cream, flavored melon seeds, 1 gene 5, spice melon seeds. 1 gene preserved plums, 1 gene traditional egg cakes, 1 gene dried persimmons, 1 gene candied kumquats, 10 tea eggs. 1 gene food coupons, 110 yuan banknote. Wow, this must be the special reward for checking in on the train. Aside from the food coupons and cash, every item was a snack to pass the time. After a moment of quiet excitement, she composed herself and began observing the passengers around her. Her seat was a two-person bench. A young woman sat beside her, while a young man and woman sat opposite. Looking further down the carriage, nearly every passenger was young, clearly all educated youths heading for the countryside. Everyone seemed to strike up conversations with those nearby, hoping to find others assigned to the same rural village and form groups ahead of arrival. Just then, the girl beside her nudged her lightly. "Comrade, where are you being sent to the countryside?" Gu Jiu glanced at her. "Shangli Township, Tuanjie Brigade in Harbin, Heilongjiang Province." The girl's face lit up. "What wonderful luck. I'm going there too. We can keep each other company from now on. My name is Yulina. What's yours?" "Sounds good. I'm Gu Jiu." Gu Jiu watched Yulina's obvious delight and thought to herself that this girl had clearly never endured hardship. Every emotion showed plainly on her face. Yulina wore a bob with layered edges. She had a round face and big eyes, and her smile crinkled the corners of her eyes. She looked like someone who had always lived comfortably. Her smile was incredibly infectious, lifting Gu Jiu's spirits. Yulina chattered happily. "Gu Jiu? I can call you Ayu then, and you can call me Nana. I knew we were fated to meet. We're off to the same place. Your family treats you so well. My parents packed plenty of things for me too. Are you hungry? I have peach shortbread. Would you like some?" Seeing Yulina reach into her bag to pull out the pastries, Gu Jiu quickly stopped her. "I'm not hungry, thank you. Keep them for yourself." "Oomph." Before Yulina could reply, a snort came from across the aisle. The two looked up to see the young woman sitting opposite them. When she noticed their gazes, she rolled her eyes disdainfully. What's the point of currying favor with someone who looks frail? Judging by her pale complexion, who knows who will end up having to take care of whom? You're lucky you found such a gullible person who offers food of her own free will. Yulina flew into a rage. She stood up and rolled up her sleeves, ready to confront her. "Jiangyu, who are you calling gullible?" The girl opposite refused to back down. "I'm talking about you. You barely know her, yet you're ready to share your food. Someone could trick you easily, and you'd still help them count their earnings." Gu Jiu reached out and pulled Yulina back. Meanwhile, the young man opposite tugged Jiangyu's sleeve and apologized quietly to Gu Jiu. "I'm sorry." Jiangyu speaks without thinking. "I apologize on her behalf." Jiangyu grew annoyed upon hearing this. "Jianzhou brother, I won't apologize. She really does look sickly." Yulina is rushing to befriend her now, but once they reach the countryside, this girl will probably rely on that naive fool for help. "Why should I say sorry?" "Jiangyu." Yulina gritted her teeth. "Don't call me naive again, or I won't hold back. And you have no right to speak about A like that. Apologize to her at once." Jiangyu tilted her chin stubbornly. "I refuse." "What can you do about it?" "You." Yulina seethed at her stubborn attitude. The young man Jiangyu called Jianzhou scrambled to separate them, terrified they would start fighting. Gu Jiu watched the commotion unfold, feeling utterly speechless. "You two keep arguing back and forth. Have you considered asking for my opinion?" The three fell silent, stunned. Yulina recovered first. She grabbed Gu Jiu's hand and rushed to explain. "Ayu, don't listen to Jiangyu's nonsense. You're not frail at all. I truly want to be your friend. Please believe me." Before Gu Jiu could respond, Jiangyu spoke again. "You the fool, you waste your energy trying to get close to someone weak. What good will it do you? If you gave those snacks to Jianzhou brother and me instead, we might help you out in the countryside. She isn't nearly as useful as we are." Yulina said angrily, "What right do you have to call Ayu a sickly girl? Besides, my things belong to me. I can give them to whoever I please. It's none of your business. Apologize to Ayu right now." Seeing Yulina still demanding that she apologize to Gu Jiu, Jiangyu grew even more defiant. "Sickly girl, that's exactly what she is. Look how pale her face is, like a ghost. What's wrong with calling her that? She hasn't even said anything, so why are you getting so worked up?" The emperor isn't anxious, yet the eunuch is losing his head. Yulina flushed bright red with rage. Gu Jiu's expression slowly darkened. Slap. Gu Jiu would not stand for it. She stood up and slapped her hard across the face. Jiangyu clutched her cheek and shrieked, "How dare you hit me?" The young man named Zhao Jianzhou, who had pretended not to notice the commotion until then, spoke up. "Comrade Gu, Ayu only speaks her mind and means no harm. How could you resort to violence?" "Oh, speaks her mind and means no harm." Gu Jiu let out a laugh upon hearing that. "So that gives her free rein to spew rude insults? Her tongue is disgustingly foul." I only held back from hurting her worse because the law forbids it. Exactly. She started with the nasty words. She deserved that slap, Yulina cut in. Zhao Jianzhou, stop treating every word Jiang Yu says as perfect. Have some self-respect. Zhao Jianzhou's face turned stormy. Yulina, watch your words. The three of us grew up together. How can you side with an outsider to bully Yu? You will apologize to me this instant and cut ties with that, Gu Jiyu. Even if you give us more things later, we will never lift a finger to help you again. Jiang Yu said, still holding her stinging cheek. Yulina was so furious she could barely find the words to respond. Meanwhile, Gu Jiyu caught on to her meaning. Jiang Yu, isn't it? Try to curb your greedy cravings for other people's belongings. Don't act as if everyone in the world owes you special treatment. If you call me a sickly girl one more time, I will smash your mouth for you. Jiang Yu muttered under her breath, she really is a sickly girl, why can't I say so? Gu Jiyu raised her hand immediately. Jiang Yu clamped her mouth shut, too afraid to utter another word. Yes, I am unwell. So what? Does my poor health cost you a single grain of rice? Are your family living right by the sea that you feel entitled to meddle in everything? Mark my words. If I hear you say that again, I will strike you once more. Gu Jiyu warned her. Tears welled up in Jiang Yu's eyes. She glanced at Yulina, who stared back with an expression that said she had brought this on herself, and she was on the verge of crying. She tugged at Zhao Jianzhou's sleeve, her eyes glistening. Brother Jianzhou, look, they're both bullying me. Comrade Gu, we are all educated youths sent down to the countryside. We ought to understand and support one another. Comrade Jiang Yu only spoke rudely. Must you be so unyielding? Zhao Jianzhou fixed Gu Jiyu with a reproachful gaze, as if she had committed an unforgivable crime. Gu Jiyu looked at the pair and thought, good grief. Apparently, I am the villain here. The young woman leaned weakly against the man, weeping delicately. The man stood tall and handsome, looking utterly distressed by her plight. Beside them, she looked like a tyrant bullying others. Would some self-proclaimed righteous person step forward next? You, comrade, this is your fault. No sooner had the thought crossed Gu Jiyu's mind than someone spoke up, oozing sanctimonious righteousness. Gu Jiyu lifted her eyes. A young man sitting across the aisle wore a zhongshan suit and sported slicked back hair, so shiny it seemed to fly would slip and fall if it landed on top. His tone was even more disagreeable. Comrade, I'm talking to you. Irritated that Gu Jiyu had drifted off, the young man raised his voice. You're speaking to me? Gu Jiyu pointed at herself. Yes, I am, the man replied confidently. I've listened to everything. Comrade Jiang Yu only said a few words about you, yet you struck her and threatened her. You're disrupting unity among educated youths. Apologize to Comrade Jiang Yu at once. Gu Jiyu was utterly speechless. This is absolutely ridiculous. Gu Jiyu fanned the air in front of her nose. Who let the self-righteous man loose? The sanctimony is overwhelming. So when Jiang Yu insults me, it's just speaking her mind, but if I defend myself, I'm immoral? Comrade, does your family know how blatantly hypocritical you are? The young man flushed with anger and stammered, but you clearly look frail. Comrade Jiang Yu wasn't lying. And you hit her. She's crying now. What's wrong with apologizing to her? Gu Jiyu nearly rolled her eyes out of her head. I think you're the one lacking sense. Let me call you fool. Fool, fool, fool. You. The young man looked ready to erupt in rage. Gu Jiyu did not let him speak. Don't get upset now. I just called you a fool because that's how you strike me, only speaking my honest thoughts. You wouldn't take offense, would you? Would you? The young man seethed, yet he had no retort. Watching his helpless display, Jiang Yu scoffed inwardly. Useless. She turned back to Gu Jiyu, her eyes misty, and spoke with apparent remorse. Comrade Gu, I'm sorry. I should not have spoken that way. I was only worried about Nana, afraid she might be misled. I spoke harshly in the heat of the moment. I apologize, and I hope you can forgive me. Yulina let out a cold huff. We are not close enough for you to call me Nana. You cannot pursue two goals at once. Don't expect me to beg for your favor while you covet my belongings. Have some dignity. Zhao Jianzhou objected. Nana, how can you speak of Yu like this? Before we left for the countryside, Uncle Yu asked us specifically to look after you. Don't be ungrateful. Spare me. We all know whether you followed Father's request or simply wanted my things. Regardless, you too must apologize to Yu. She has done nothing to deserve your insults. Furthermore, stop using my name to advance your own interests from now on. We are not that close. Yulina stared sternly at them. Ungrateful. Just wait and see how you cope out in the countryside. You'll come begging us for help sooner or later. Zhao Jianzhou flung his sleeves and sat down, reaching out to pull Jiang Yu beside him. Sit down too. Jiang Yu shook her head and kept her gaze fixed on Gu Jiu. Brother Jianzhou, it's all my fault for speaking carelessly. I will earn Comrade Gu's forgiveness. All of us educated youths need to support each other after we arrive in the countryside. I won't sit down until Comrade Gu forgives me. People around them began murmuring, all suggesting that Gu Jiu ought to forgive Jiang Yu. They said it would reflect poorly on all educated youths to carry on such a bitter dispute, as though Gu Jiu would be in the wrong if she refused to reconcile. Gu Jiu watched Jiang Yu's performance with complete indifference, almost ready to admire her skill. What a skilled schemer. Putting on this show and wrapping others in moral pressure. Anyone with a thin skin would cave under the crowd's persuasion and agree to forgive her. But Gu Jiu was different. She would not be manipulated by such tactics. If she refused to play by society's unspoken rules, no one could pressure her. As the saying goes, those who start trouble bear the blame. Still, mark this. If you provoke me again, I will strike you once more. Gu Jiu paused and continued. Like you said, I am unwell and cannot tolerate provocation. She pulled a hospital certificate from her pocket and slapped it on the table, grinning widely. Of course, you can keep testing me. I am not afraid. My health truly is poor. Anyone who provokes me must be ready to face the consequences. After all, my poor health is no fabrication. Jiang Yu did not know how to respond. She stared at the medical document. Gu Jiu was genuinely frail. But if Gu Jiu refused to forgive her, Yulina would not calm down, and all her plans to get Yulina's belongings would fall apart. She had brought very little money with her to the countryside and had counted on getting Yulina's supplies for herself. All her schemes would be ruined. Gu Jiu paid no mind to Jiang Yu's tangled thoughts and issued a quiet warning. I do not care what you plan to do. Stay out of my way and I will pretend you do not exist. But if you provoke me again, you will learn exactly what the consequences are. With that, she ignored the ugly anger flickering across Jiang Yu's face and Zhao Jianzhou's blazing fury. She pulled quotations from Chairman Mao out of her bag and began to read. Seeing Gu Jiu had no intention of speaking further, Yulina shook her fist at Jiang Yu and sat down as well. Yulina knew she was not the sharpest, but she trusted Gu Jiu completely. She had taken an instant liking to Gu Jiu the first time they met and wanted to grow close to her. Her intuition had always served her well, saving her from countless misfortunes growing up. That was also why she clashed with Jiang Yu. No one could warm to someone who coveted their possessions and waited for a chance to take advantage of them. Watching Gu Jiu and Yulina shut themselves off from conversation, Jiang Yu burned with resentment, yet she forced herself to stay composed for appearances. She shot Gu Jiu a hateful glare, secretly frustrated by Zhao Jianzhou's uselessness. She pulled away from his outstretched hand, took 2 fruit candies from her pocket, and offered them to the young man across the aisle. Comrade, thank you for speaking up for me earlier. May I know your name and which production brigade you are being sent to? The young man with slicked back hair waved his hands quickly. Comrade Jiang Yu, you should keep the candy. I didn't manage to help much. He went on, my name is Lin Weigua. I am also an educated youth being sent to Tuanjia Brigade in Harbin. Jiang Yu lit up with delight. It turns out we are heading to the same place. Then you absolutely must take the candy. I hope we can rely on one another from now on. She blinked playfully and pressed the sweets straight into Lin Weigua's palm. Lin Weigua stared at Jiang Yu, his cheeks flushing, and stammered, Why, yes, I look forward to working with you too, Comrade Jiang Yu. Zhao Jianzhou felt a surge of irritation watching Jiang Yu chat easily with Lin Weigua. Remembering how she had pulled away from him, he grew even angrier. He closed his eyes and refused to look at her any longer. Gu Jiu glanced over when she heard Lin Weigua's name, then quickly looked away. What a waste of a fine name. She thought of Father Gu, who shared the same given name. How vast the difference between the two men. Realizing all these people would be her fellow educated youths at the brigade, she felt a sense of dread for the days ahead. A scheming young woman, a blind follower, a self-righteous busybody, and the naive young girl sitting beside her. Truly a gathering of troublesome characters. Novels set in this era spoke the truth. Being sent down to the countryside meant you were bound to meet all kinds of difficult people. The rest of the journey passed peacefully. Having shown she would not be bullied from the start, no one dared to trouble Gu Jiu. Yulina, on the other hand, stuck by her side and chatted constantly. The two grew much closer. Gu Jiu endured another bumpy train ride. After rattling along for 3 whole days, they finally arrived at the station at noon. Ayo, hurry up. Yulina excitedly gathered her luggage and headed for the door, pulling Gu Jiyu along. We're finally here. The air on that train was stifling. Gu Jiyu's frail body had endured the difficult journey. Without the nourishing medicinal pills sustaining her, she would not have coped. She gently held Yulina back. You go ahead. The aisle is packed right now. I will wait for the crowd to thin before getting off. Yulina slapped her forehead. That's right, I forgot. I'll wait with you. There's no need. Go on ahead. I can manage slowly by myself. Gu Jiyu declined. She could tell Yulina was desperate to escape the stuffy train, and she longed to step out too. She simply could not push through the crowd with her poor health. Yulina shook her head firmly. We'll get off together. We can keep each other company. It doesn't matter if we are a little late. Very well. Gu Jiyu knew she was worried about her health and did not refuse again. As the passengers gradually disembarked, the two walked slowly off the train. No sooner had they stepped onto the platform than a chill ran through them. May in northeast China still carried the bite of lingering spring cold. Gu Jiyu pulled a thicker coat out of her luggage and slipped it on, then turned to Yulina. Do you have warm clothes in your bag? I have an extra coat if you need it. No, I'm fine. I brought one. Yulina pulled a thick coat from her bag and put it on. She exhaled. Ew, northeast China really is cold. The temperature is nothing like the south. That gust of wind nearly froze me. Gu Jiyu nodded. Her body was naturally weak, and the wind left her face even paler, accentuating her delicate appearance. Meanwhile, Jiang Yu and the others had squeezed off the train early and found the commune official sent to collect the educated youths. The official held a roster and collected letters of introduction one by one. Everyone who handed theirs over was told to board the open truck waiting nearby. After checking the list twice, the official noticed 2 names were missing. Are Gu Jiyu and Yulina here? He called twice, but no one answered. He was about to head back into the train station to look for them when he spotted 2 young women hurrying over, clutching bundles of luggage. Comrade, this is Gu Jiyu and I'm Yulina. Yulina gasped, calling out loudly. The commune official frowned. What took you so long? We were about to leave. If you'd been any later, you would have had to walk all the way to your brigade. Gu Jiyu pulled a pack of Fima cigarettes from her bag and slipped them into his hand. I'm truly sorry. My poor health slowed us down, and Yulina stayed to look after me. Thank you for waiting. Seeing the cigarettes, the official's expression softened. All right, hand over your letters of introduction and get on the truck quickly. Representatives from each brigade are waiting at the Educated Youth office. The 2 handed over their paperwork, climbed onto the truck, and found seats. The Educated Youth office occupied a single-story brick house. Several long wooden tables stood in the yard, where clerks sat calling names according to the settlement roster. The commune official passed the names to the office clerk. The clerk called each person forward to submit their household registration, transfer documents, and grain ration certificates. Each educated youth signed their name in the registry, canceling their urban grain rations and filing their countryside settlement records. Once all formalities were complete, they received a settlement receipt. Voices echoed throughout the yard. Registration proceeded methodically. Only after finishing all paperwork did each youth officially fall under the jurisdiction of the Educated Youth office. After some time, everyone had completed registration. Brigade secretaries and Poor Peasants Association representatives from each village waited outside the gate, each holding slips listing their assigned educated youths. Officials from the Educated Youth office called out names publicly, assigning groups to each brigade. When a brigade's name was announced, its representative stepped forward to sign and complete the handover. Zhou Jiangwo, Wu Baozhang, Xilan, Wang Geiying, Goat Village Brigade. Zhang Chongfu, Lu Baolin Xiahui, Wu Yulan, Mountain Valley Brigade. Lu Bin Xiafeng, Li Ailin, Zhang Jiahui, Hongxing Brigade. After a while, the names for Hongxing Brigade were read out. Lin Weigua, Zhao Jianzhou, Yi Jiyu, Qin Zhan, Yulina, Jiang Yu, Su Fang, Gu Jiyu, Tuanjia Brigade. Yi Jiyu? His name sounded almost identical to her own. Before Gu Jiyu could think more on it, someone called out, everyone assigned to Tuanjia Brigade, come over here. The group grabbed their luggage and walked toward the ox cart waiting for Tuanjia Brigade. The brigade secretary was a 40-something man of medium height, with dark skin from years of farm labor. When he saw the approaching educated youths, his heart sank. For more young women. These girls looked frail and unlikely to handle heavy farm work. That one in particular, so pale she could barely stand. Would she even make it to the village? He glanced at the young men and thought they did not look suited for field labor either. The secretary nearly rubbed his temples in distress. Everyone's here. I'm Li Xingli, secretary of Tuanjia Brigade. Let me start calling names. He pushed aside his worries and unfolded the roster. Lin Weigua. Here. Zhao Jianzhou. Present. Yulina. Present. Jiang Yu. Present. Su Fong. Present. Qin Zhan. Present. Yi Ziyu. Present. At the sound of the name, Gu Jiyu looked up. The young man was tall and handsome, carrying an air of quiet steadiness. Sensing her gaze, Yi Ziyu looked back. It was the fellow educated youth assigned alongside him. She appeared unwell, pale, and slender. Yet her delicate features held a striking, vibrant beauty. Just then, the secretary called Gu Jiyu's name. Gu Jiyu. Here. Yi Ziyu was surprised by her clear voice, nothing like the fragile impression she gave. Their eyes met briefly, and both looked away. Gu Jiyu thought she was young and plagued with poor health. No matter how attractive the men around her were, romance was the last thing she could afford to pursue, so she paid them no mind. Yi Ziyu, on the other hand, regarded the others merely as fellow educated youths sent down to the countryside, thinking there was no need to pay them undue attention. After finishing the roll call, the village party branch secretary called out to the group of young people. Load your luggage onto the cart. You've got some free time now. The supply and marketing cooperative is just a few minutes walk straight ahead. Go buy whatever daily necessities you need. If you have parcels waiting at the post office, bring them over here as well, and we'll haul everything back to the educated youth quarters together. The educated youth set their bundled parcels onto the ox cart and prepared to head for the cooperative. Yulina had originally planned to ask Gu Jiyu to come along, but Gu Jiyu turned her down, saying she had no immediate purchases to make and told her friend to go on her own. Gu Jiyu walked up to the secretary and asked, Uncle, will we be walking back to the village? How far is the production brigade from the commune? Li Xingli answered her question without much thought. You'll all have to walk back. At your pace, it'll take roughly an hour and a half. What's the matter, girl? Gu Jiyu was straightforward with her reply. It's my poor health. Before I left the city for the countryside, my mother mailed several parcels to the commune post office. The packages are fairly large, and the cart is already stuffed with the luggage from the other educated youth. I doubt there's any room left for my things. Li Xingli pondered for a moment before responding. Do you have bedding with you right now? I do. Why do you ask, Uncle? Gu Jiyu nodded in confusion. Here's my suggestion, Li Xingli explained. Make do with your current bedding for tonight. You don't have assigned work tomorrow, so you can ride back here on the village ox cart alone to collect your parcels. Sending the cart back this late would be unsafe, and you'd risk losing your belongings for nothing. Does that sound all right to you? Very well, I'll pick up my parcels tomorrow, Gu Jiyu agreed readily. She had all her essential daily items with her already, so one night of makeshift accommodation would be no hardship. Privately, she had been planning to move out of the shared dormitory and live separately. A private room would let her safely take items out of her system storage space without drawing suspicion. With everyone else gone to the supply and marketing cooperative, only Secretary Li Xingli and Gu Jiyu remained. Seizing the moment, she brought up the matter of private lodging. Uncle, have any educated youth in our brigade ever moved into private housing? As she spoke, she pulled a few pieces of White Rabbit creamy candy from her pocket and held them out to him. Li Xingli declined the candy. What are you doing wasting such precious treats? You need to learn to be more frugal. Just ask whatever questions you have, I won't brush you off. Are you hoping to rent a private room? A row of single dwellings was built specifically for educated youth here. They're small, costing 2 yuan a month in rent, and several units are still vacant. If you're set on renting one, head to the brigade office later to get an official slip. Keep these candies for yourself. Your body is frail, you ought to nourish yourself with these fine snacks. The familiar local dialect eased Gu Jiyu's nerves. This was exactly the rustic atmosphere she had anticipated. Uncle, I wouldn't offer these candies if I truly needed them for myself. Please take them home for your children to enjoy. I might need to trouble you with small matters once I move into a private house, and I'd feel awkward pestering you if you refuse this small gesture. She pressed the candy into his palm and stepped back a short distance. Li Xingli studied the young woman, then glanced down at the candy in his hand. Very well then. Come to me whenever you need help. Folks around here are warm-hearted. If you're confused about anything, ask any villager, or come straight to me. I'll sort out whatever problems I can. Thank you so much, uncle. A bright grin spread across Gu Zhiyu's face. First local official contact secured heavy checkmark. Remembering she had not yet signed into her system that day, she mentally called out, "System, perform daily sign-in." Ding. Host has arrived at the commune educated youth office. Sign-in successful. You have received the 1970 Educated Youth Resettlement Gift Pack, stored within your system inventory for retrieval. Wow, a special resettlement bundle. Gu Zhiyu opened her system storage and was stunned by the abundance of supplies inside. 180 yuan in cash, 50 jin of national grain coupons, 1 zhang and 2 chi of cloth coupons, a full year's worth of miscellaneous daily ration coupons, a complete set of bedding, seasonal work clothes, shoes and socks for all weather, full kitchenware and daily necessities, grain, oil, dried meat and other non-staple foods. Common medicinal supplies plus 2 constitution, reinforcing wax pills, the complete self, tutoring series for mathematics, physics, and chemistry. A set of quenched farm tools, and a lockable wooden chest. Every item had plain, unremarkable appearances identical to standard luggage brought by urban youth relocated to the countryside, safe to take out and use openly. Flush with cash and ration tickets, Gu Zhiyu silently thanked her system for its generous rewards. Shortly afterward, the other educated youth trickled back from the cooperative and loaded their purchases onto the ox cart. Li Xingli called the group over and grabbed the ox's rope to set off. Jiang Yu immediately protested. "Secretary, we haven't gotten onto the cart yet." Li Xingli kept walking forward without pause. "The cart is only meant for luggage. Do you want to overwork the ox? That ox is far more valuable than you are. Hurry up and start walking. The journey will take nearly 2 hours." Jiang Yu stood her ground, threatening to file a complaint against the secretary at the Educated Youth Office for mistreating relocated urban youth. Li Xingli halted in his tracks, even welcoming her threat. "Go right ahead and report me. Truth be told, our brigade wouldn't mind sending you back to the city. Run along and lodge your complaint, if that's what you want." Zhao Jianzhou pulled the furious Jiang Yu back and apologized to the secretary. "I'm truly sorry, secretary. Jiang Yu is young and reckless. Please overlook her poor judgment. We'll start walking at once." Seeing Jiang Yu struggle to argue further, Zhao Jianzhou lowered his voice beside her ear. "Have you lost your mind? If you get sent back from the youth office, you'll only be reassigned to an even harsher rural outpost. What's more, alienating the brigade secretary will leave you open to constant unfair treatment from the village. Calm down immediately." Zhao Jianzhou's words jolted Jiang Yu back to her senses. She rushed to apologize to Li Xingli. "I'm terribly sorry, secretary. I spoke out of turn just now. I'll walk quietly from this moment on. Let us be on our way without further delay." Li Xingli let out a cold huff. "No plans to report me anymore?" Jiang Yu shook her head frantically. "None at all. It was nothing but idle talk on my part. Let us hurry along so we do not fall behind schedule." Relieved that Jiang Yu had stopped causing trouble, Zhao Jianzhou relaxed, and Li Xingli resumed leading the ox cart forward. Gu Zhiyu watched Jiang Yu's outburst with plain disdain. What was the point of making such a scene? She gained nothing from the tantrum and only soured her relationship with the brigade secretary. She glanced toward the rest of the group. Apart from Zhao Jianzhou and Lin Weigua, the other young people were staring at Jiang Yu with identical expressions of quiet judgment. It was clear to her that most of the group were sensible enough to see Jiang Yu's behavior for what it was. This realization lightened her worries a little. With Jiang Yu's disruptive behavior contained, the group traveled onward without any more incidents. Li Xingli led the ox cart at the front of the procession, while the 8 educated youth trailed behind toward Unity Production Brigade, naturally splitting into small social clusters as they walked. Yi Ziyu and Qin Zhan walked at the very front. They spoke seldom, exchanging casual conversation every now and then, evidently long acquainted with one another. Solitary female educated youth Su Fong walked alone in the middle of the group, keeping to herself with no desire for social interaction. Jiang Yu traveled alongside Zhao Jianzhou and Lin Weigua. She muttered quietly, wearing a hurt, aggrieved expression, while the 2 young men worked tirelessly to comfort her. Their persistent consolation eventually pulled a faint smile from Jiang Yu. At the sight of her improved mood, Zhao Jianzhou offered her candy and Lin Weigua handed over biscuits, both vying to cheer her up further. Plagued by poor physical health, Gu Jiu could not keep a brisk pace, so Yulina walked beside her at the rear of the procession, granting them an unobstructed view of the trio ahead. Gu Jiu murmured to herself, truly devoted admirers through and through. She could not help but marvel at Jiang Yu's social skill. She had quickly won over not just Zhao Jianzhou, but Lin Weiguo as well in such a short span of time. Impressive indeed. You, what exactly do devoted admirers mean? Yulina asked, unfamiliar with the phrase. Gu Jiu tilted her chin toward the two young men walking ahead with Jiang Yu. Those two men, who go out of their way to cater to every little whim of Jiang Yu's. That is what the phrase refers to. Yulina giggled, observing the trio ahead and finding the description perfectly fitting. Not wishing to dwell on their odd dynamic, she quickly changed the subject to discuss their upcoming living arrangements at the youth quarters. I've heard the youth dormitories are large open rooms with shared brick-heated beds where several people sleep side by side. We should share a room once we arrive so we can look out for each other. Gu Jiu had yet to mention her plan to rent a private lodging unit to Yulina. That won't be necessary, Nana. I spoke with the secretary earlier. He informed me that private single rooms are available for rent within the youth compound for 2 yuan monthly. Given my fragile health that requires steady recuperation, I've decided to secure one of these private dwellings for myself. Private rooms? Yulina had been fretting over adjusting to communal shared sleeping quarters, and the news instantly lifted her spirits. Without waiting for Gu Jiu to finish speaking, she sprinted toward the secretary. Wait here for me, I'll be right back. She was already far down the path before Gu Jiu could respond. Gu Jiu nodded to herself. It was obvious Yulina came from a well-off family with no trouble affording the rent. Sure enough, she had raced to negotiate a private room the second she heard the option existed. Yulina returned a short while later, grabbing Gu Jiu's hand excitedly. I just told the secretary I want to rent a private room too. I was dreading sleeping in a crowded shared bed. I've always had my own bedroom growing up and had no idea how I would adapt to communal living. I'm so grateful you told me about these private units, otherwise I would have worried myself sick over it for ages. Gu Jiu brushed off her gratitude. You would have found out from the secretary once we reached the quarters anyway. I only told you a little sooner than everyone else. Yulina paid no heed to her modest reply. You only told me because we're close friends. You never would have shared that information with anyone else. Gu Jiu could not refute this truth, so she shifted their conversation to planning the layout of their respective private rooms and listing the furniture and supplies they would need to purchase. Neither of them realized they had become the subject of quiet discussion among the other travelers. Qin Zhan lowered his voice to speak to Yi Jiu as they walked. Brother Yi, did you notice that frail-looking girl named Gu Jiu during roll call? She's strikingly beautiful. Qin Zhan waggled his eyebrows teasingly. Your name is Yi Jiu and hers is Gu Jiu. The two names sound perfectly matched for a pair. Yi Jiu shot his childhood friend a sharp glance and ignored his teasing. His old friend had many good qualities, but an overactive taste for gossip was not one of them. Undaunted by Yi Jiu's lack of reaction, Qin Zhan pressed on. How can you be completely unaffected by such a lovely young woman? You're already 20 years old. It's high time you considered courting someone. Annoyed by his friend's rambling, Yi Jiu cut him off firmly. First of all, I have only just turned 20, not already 20. Second, you yourself referred to her as a young girl. I am no unscrupulous person who would pursue someone much younger than myself. Third, the current official policy encourages late marriage for relocated, educated youth. Even if I were to begin a courtship, marriage would not be permitted anytime soon. He concluded flatly. You were tasked with this matchmaking by my mother. You might as well abandon this futile endeavor. With that, Yi Jiu ceased responding to Qin Zhan entirely. Qin Zhan fell silent, inwardly complaining to himself under his breath. As if you're some upright saint. You've always been sharp and calculating, tricking countless people since we were kids. You claim you won't pursue her, yet you keep sneaking glances in her direction. Don't think I haven't noticed you staring multiple times. You've never paid this much attention to any other girl before, no matter how hard you pretend to be indifferent. He still could not fathom how Yi Jiu had discovered his secret errand from Ye's mother. Yi Jiu's ears warmed slightly upon hearing his friend's muttered accusations. He could not pinpoint exactly what drew his attention to Gu Jiu. He had told himself repeatedly that she was merely an ordinary fellow educated youth not worthy of notice, yet he could not stop stealing quiet glances her way. In his 20 years of life, no other young woman had stirred such a subtle reaction within him. Could it simply be the similarity between their given names that caused this odd fascination? Yi Jiu mulled over the question silently as they walked. An hour and a half slipped by in this manner. Just as Gu Jiu reached the brink of exhaustion, the outlines of Unity Production Brigade finally came into view in the distance. She heaved a deep sigh of relief, thankful they had nearly arrived. Even another dose of her health-preserving pills would not have sustained her weakened body through much more walking. Li Xingli called out from the front of the procession. "Push yourselves a little further, everyone. The educated youth quarters are just inside the village entrance, and you can rest properly once we arrive." After 5 more minutes of walking, the group officially entered Unity Production Brigade. Since villagers were still out working the fields, the roads stood empty. Even the large old tree at the village entrance, the usual gathering spot for village gossip, only had 2 elderly women sitting beneath its branches whispering to one another. With no villagers returning from work yet, the youth quarters were empty. Li Xingli led the group first to the brigade office to sort out their grain allocations and issue the official rental slips for the private rooms. All paperwork would be finished around the time the village finished its daily work shift. Upon reaching the brigade office, Li Xingli tied the ox to a wooden stake beside the building and ushered the educated youth inside. "Take a seat on the long benches over there to catch your breath for a moment." He then left to fetch the brigade accountant and his official ledgers. Worn out from the lengthy trek, every person slumped onto the benches the moment they were told they could rest, including Jiangyu, who did not utter a single complaint in her eagerness to recover her strength. Li Xingli sat at the desk, took a sip of water from his enamel mug, and addressed the group. "For your first year stationed in the countryside, the state will issue you monthly grain rations, 37 jin of grain per person, consisting of 10 jin of refined grain and 27 jin of coarse grain, alongside 2 liang of soybean oil. You will sign for your allocations before collecting them from the village granary." Having witnessed frequent conflicts over grain among previous batches of educated youth, Li Xingli took the time to explain the current distribution rules. Ordinarily, the head of the youth quarters would collect grain on everyone's behalf using your official grain books at the commune. But past disputes prompted the brigade to adjust the system. You will now collect your grain directly from the village granary, with signed receipts kept on file by the brigade for our collective grain pickup runs to the commune. He scanned the faces of the young people before adding, "If you would prefer to collect your grain personally from the commune granary, the brigade can issue official certification for you to do so." All the educated youth agreed to the village's current system. None wished to create friction with the brigade over such a trivial matter, and the arrangement spared them the tedious trip back and forth to the commune themselves. Satisfied with their unanimous consent, Li Xingli continued speaking. "If you find your grain ration insufficient to fill you up, refined grain can be exchanged for coarse grain at a rate of 1 jin of refined grain for 1.5 jin of coarse grain. Inform me of your decision before we head to the granary to weigh out your grain." Li Xingli and the accountant led the group to the granary to measure out each person's grain allocation. Every youth opted for the standard ration of 10 jin refined grain plus 27 jin coarse grain, signing their names in the accountant's registry after receiving their supplies. When it was Gu Jiu's turn to collect her grain, she spoke up. "Secretary, is it possible for me to receive my entire grain ration as refined grain only?" Li Xingli frowned at her request. "That would be difficult to arrange." The accountant also looked over toward Gu Jiu with curiosity. She quickly pulled an official medical certificate from her pocket to explain herself. "Secretary, my chronic poor health requires refined grain to soothe my sensitive digestive system. This certificate is issued by Suzhou Municipal Hospital. You may review it to confirm I am not making this request without valid reason." Li Xingli accepted the certificate and examined the official hospital seal bearing Gu Jiu's full name. The document stated she suffered from congenital physical weakness, was forbidden from strenuous labor or extreme emotional swings, and had delicate digestive organs requiring careful long-term conditioning to avoid life-threatening health complications. Li Xingli's brows creased deeply as he passed the paperwork to the accountant for verification. "Miss Gu, if you convert your full ration into refined grain, you will only receive 28 jin total, hardly enough food to keep you properly fed. How will you manage with such a small quantity?" Accountant Zhang Yuejin read over the certificate and marveled inwardly. This girl was as fragile as fine porcelain, easily damaged by even minor hardship. Despite her outstanding looks, finding a suitable marriage match would prove quite difficult for her with such poor physical constitution. He handed the medical certificate back to Gu Jiu. Gu Jiu took the document and reassured the secretary. "You need not worry about my meals. My family will send regular money and ration coupons from the city each month, allowing me to purchase extra food from official grain depots. I will never go hungry under any circumstances. With Gu Zhiyu's guarantee, Li Xingli directed the granary worker to weigh out 28 jin of pure refined grain for her. 2 separate receipts were drafted for her signature, one listing her original standard ration of 10 jin refined grain plus 27 jin coarse grain, and a second document recording her official exchange of the 27 jin coarse grain for an additional 18 jin of refined grain. After signing the paperwork and collecting her grain sack, Gu Zhiyu returned to the main brigade office. Li Xingli then called Yulina and Gu Zhiyu over to his desk. You two wanted to rent private lodging units, correct? The rent for each single room in the youth compound is 2 yuan monthly, paid every 6 months in advance. If you confirm the rental, settle your payment now and I will write your official occupancy slip. You may move into your rooms immediately afterward. Private rooms? Jiang Yu's usual soft, delicate tone sharpened with resentment. Secretary, how can you rent these private rooms to them without consulting the rest of us? We were never even told private lodging was an option. Have they bribed you for special treatment? Her accusation stunned everyone present, including Zhao Jianzhou. Everyone wondered if Jiang Yu had lost her senses entirely. She would be living in this village for years to come, yet she openly antagonized the highest local authority for no meaningful gain. What could she possibly hope to accomplish with such reckless behavior? No one could fathom what Jiang Yu was thinking in that moment. In truth, Jiang Yu had let jealousy cloud her judgment. When the village party secretary first mentioned that Gu Zhiyu would struggle to stay full on refined grains alone, Jiang Yu had secretly rejoiced. Convinced that Gu Zhiyu had a frail constitution and insufficient food, she assumed the girl would not last long out here. Her delight faded fast the second Gu Zhiyu said her family would send money and grain coupons every month to support her. Jiang Yu's face darkened at once. She thought of how she had relied on Zhao Jianzhou to secure benefits for her whole family, only to be sent to the countryside in her elder brother's place. Without her own persistent bargaining, she would not have even received the resettlement stipend for being dispatched to the village. Resentment gnawed away at her relentlessly. She had originally planned to find a way to get hold of the supplies in Yulina's possession, yet Yulina had grown close to Gu Zhiyu and cut all contact with her. Jiang Yu now harbored fierce hatred toward Gu Zhiyu. When she heard Yulina intended to rent a private room together with Gu Zhiyu, Jiang Yu completely flew off the handle. The party secretary's face turned livid. He slammed his palm hard on the table, sliding it across the ground. Comrade Jiang, quit spouting nonsense. Renting these private rooms is meant to generate income for the production brigade. If you want one for yourself, you're free to rent it too. Besides, these rooms sit right next to the main educated youth compound. Anyone with eyes can see them clearly. There is no reason for me to hide their existence from any of you. Jiang Yu refused to believe him and pointed an accusing finger at Gu Zhiyu. Then how did they find out about the rooms? You must have told them personally. Secretary, you must treat every educated youth fairly. Don't show favoritism just because someone is good-looking. Jiang Yu's remarks grew more and more offensive. Before Li Xingli could respond, Gu Zhiyu raised her hand and slapped her hard across the cheek. Clutching her stinging face, Jiang Yu stared back in shock. Gu Zhiyu, how dare you hit me? Gu Zhiyu delivered a second sharp slap without hesitation. I hit you for good reason. You spew vile slander, so you deserve this beating. Enraged by the second blow, Jiang Yu nearly lost her mind. Am I not telling the truth? Why were only they informed of the available private rooms while the rest of us were kept in the dark? You struck me because you know you are in the wrong. The rest of us? Gu Zhiyu glanced toward the other educated youths, all of whom looked calm and upright. When Qin Zhan met her gaze, he quickly shook his head to signal he had no part in this argument. She returned her attention to Jiang Yu. Your own mind is tainted with malicious thoughts, yet you try to drag everyone else down with you. It's always people with filthy inner worlds who view everything around them through a warped lens. I was the one who first asked the secretary if the village had any housing available for rent, and he then told me about these private quarters beside the youth compound. I was also the one who told Yulina. What are you ranting and raving about right now? Jiang Yu was left speechless and shot a pleading look toward Zhao Jianzhou, begging him to speak up on her behalf. Zhao Jianzhou deliberately avoided her gaze. He had no intention of angering the party secretary just to stand up for Jiang Yu. Seeing that Zhao Jianzhou would not back her up, Jiang Yu gritted her teeth and forced out an apology. Secretary, Comrade Gu, I'm sorry for my misunderstanding. I hope you can forgive me. Gu Jiu shot a surprised glance at Zhao Jianzhou, inwardly musing that this devoted follower was rather half-hearted in his loyalty. He had not lifted a finger to defend Jiang Yu when she needed him most. Men truly prioritize their own self-interest above all else. Li Xingli let out a cold huff and ignored Jiang Yu entirely, addressing the rest of the group. Comrades Gu and you have each secured a private room. 3 rooms remain unclaimed. Anyone else who wants to rent a private lodging should speak up now. Come pay the fee and collect your official receipt from me immediately. Gu Jiu and Yulina handed over their money, collected their paperwork, and stepped aside to wait. Soon afterward, the last 3 rooms were taken by Yi Jiu, Qin Zhan, and Su Fang respectively. With all the formalities wrapped up, Li Xingli led the group toward the educated youth compound. Most villagers had finished their farm work by the time they arrived. As they reached the compound gate, several resident educated youths walked out to greet them. A male educated youth in his mid-20s took the lead to speak. Secretary, you've arrived. Are these the newly assigned educated youths? Please come inside. He gestured to usher the party into the courtyard, but Li Xingli waved him off. Jiang Yu, Zhao Jianzhou, and Lin Wei will stay in the main collective compound. Lin Bing, show them inside and assign their sleeping quarters. The rest of these comrades have rented the separate private rooms next door. I will take them over to settle in first. You can all get acquainted with one another once they are moved in. Lin Bing replied with a smile. Understood, Secretary. I'll take these 3 inside right away. Once Zhao Jianzhou's group unloaded their luggage from the ox cart, Li Xingli guided Gu Jiu and the others toward the adjacent walled yard holding the private rooms. The yard contained 2 rows of newly built houses, 5 rooms on the eastern side and 5 on the western side. Several doors stood ajar, revealing residents cooking meals inside. The cooks stepped outside upon hearing the commotion. 3 young men emerged from the eastern row, and 2 young women from the western row. Comrade Su, these are our new educated youth arrivals who have rented the remaining vacant rooms. You can all introduce yourselves to each other shortly. Seeing the newcomers struggling with their luggage, Li Xingli pitched in to unload the bundles from the ox cart. Watching their sluggish pace, he knew the unloading would drag on endlessly without his help. Exhausted and famished after a long day of labor, he had no patience to linger and supervise their slow work. With Li Xingli's assistance, the cart was emptied in short order. He promptly led the ox cart away, hurrying off before anyone could call him back. He vanished from sight in moments. The residents of the private room yard exchanged awkward glances with the new arrivals. The same young man who had greeted them earlier broke the silence to introduce the group. My name is Sui Bai. These are Meng Yuan, Meng Tian, Zhang Yilin, and Xie Hua. All 10 rooms in this yard are now occupied with your arrival. I hope we can all get along well for the years ahead. The closed doors belong to empty rooms from before. Feel free to pick your rooms first. Unpack your belongings, then we can chat properly. The newly arrived youths voiced their thanks, exchanged greetings with the veteran residents, and went to select their living spaces. The existing residents had all chosen rooms starting from the southern end of each row, leaving plenty of easy options for Gu Jiu's party. Gu Jiu picked the northernmost room on the women's side. Yulina claimed the room directly next to hers, and Su Fang took the middle room. For the male quarters, Yi Jiu chose the outermost room directly across from Gu Jiu's lodging, with Qin Zhan taking the last available male room. Everyone carried their luggage into their assigned rooms once their choices were finalized. The private rooms constructed by the production brigade were extremely Spartan. Each room was small and bare, furnished with nothing but a heated brick bed. Even so, Gu Jiu judged the space perfectly serviceable with a thorough tidy-up. She had barely set all her bags down on the brick bed when Yulina walked through the door. Ew, there isn't even a cooking pot in here. What are we going to eat for dinner? Gu Jiu pulled a length of cured sausage from her bag and held it up. We just got here, so we'll probably head over to the main youth compound soon for a welcome meal. She wrapped the sausage in oiled paper and turned to Yulina. You should gather some food to bring along too. It would be rude to show up for their dinner empty-handed. Yulina had an immediate realization. You're absolutely right. I have a tin of canned food stowed away in my luggage. I'll go fetch it right now. She darted back to her own room to rummage through her bags. Gu Jiu watched Yulina's energetic figure with quiet envy. She had even needed to take a nourishing health pill just to haul her luggage into the room. It was a stark reminder of her naturally delicate physical condition that required consistent recuperation. Still, she had to admit the health pills worked remarkably well. A single pill eased her physical discomfort significantly whenever she felt unwell. After taking them for less than 10 days total, she already felt much more relaxed and comfortable. She resolved to keep taking them regularly to fully rebuild her stamina and health. Cheering herself up silently, Gu Jiu stepped back out into the yard, where all the other new residents had now assembled. Suibai spoke up once more. Since everyone is here, let's walk over to the main youth compound together. We've been expecting your arrival and arranged a welcome dinner tonight to help everyone get familiar with one another. We are all educated youths sharing the same hardships here, and we will be living side by side for a long time to come. Xiahua added his agreement. That's right, let's hurry over. The meal should be nearly finished by now. The group nodded and set off toward the neighboring compound. Gu Jiu noticed every resident carried some sort of food item in their hands as they walked. It took only 2 minutes to reach the main compound, where Lin Bing, the young man they had met earlier, came forward to greet them. He gathered the other resident youths, and everyone took turns introducing themselves. Once the introductions concluded, 2 of the veteran youths headed into the kitchen to finish preparing the meal. Lin Bing gestured for the newcomers to take seats in the courtyard. Dinner will be ready shortly. This meal is to welcome you all to the village, so please excuse our simple spread. Yi Jiu responded politely. There is no need for formalities, Comrade Lin. Grain supplies are precious for everyone here, and we appreciate you going out of your way to host us. Please accept this gift from my family to add something extra to the meal. He held out a tin can toward Lin Bing. Canned fish. This is such a valuable item. You ought to keep it for yourself to replenish your energy after grueling farm labor each day, Lin Bing said, attempting to hand the can back to Yi Jiu. Yi Jiu refused to take it back. I've only just arrived and have no urgent need for this can. I would feel uncomfortable eating your meal if you decline my offering. Lin Bing reluctantly accepted the canned good. Very well. I'll pass this to the comrades cooking in the kitchen to incorporate into tonight's dishes. Following Yi Jiu's lead, Gu Jiu and the other newcomers handed over their own food offerings to Lin Bing. He grasped the items carefully, fearful of dropping any, and inwardly marveled at the generosity of these new arrivals from the private room yard. Each had brought cured meat products, and they seemed far more agreeable than the trio who had stayed in the main collective quarters. Recalling Jiang Yu's unpleasant behavior earlier, Lin Bing curled his lip in disdain. He delivered the donated food to the kitchen before returning to the courtyard to converse with everyone. Inside the kitchen, Wang Guifin and Li Lan lit up with delight upon seeing the assortment of canned meats and cured sausages Lin Bing brought in. Li Lan lowered her voice to speak quietly. I wonder what kind of backgrounds these new educated youths have to be so freehand with rare meat provisions. Indeed, there's quite a variety of meat here, Wang Guifin replied, sorting through the goods to plan how to cook the canned food and sausage alongside the vegetables they had prepared. Li Lan kept stirring her pot as she continued the conversation. Aside from their generous gifts, all of these newcomers are pleasant, looking and easy to get along with. It's a real shame how unpleasant that Jiangyu girl acts. Shush, keep your voice down, Wang Guifin warned her sharply. You can say these things in private with me, but never let Jiangyu overhear you. She clearly harbors a petty, scheming mind, and you don't want to become her target for trouble. Li Lan quickly nodded, promising to be more cautious with her words. Enough chatting, hurry up with the stir, frying. Everyone out there is starving, Wang Guifin said, working her spatula briskly over the stove. The educated youths chatted casually in the courtyard. Yulina scanned the crowd and noticed Jiangyu was nowhere to be seen. She tugged at Gu Jiu's sleeve and whispered into her ear. Ayu, have you noticed Jiangyu and the other 2 new arrivals are missing? I can't figure out where they've gone. I've noticed. They must be hiding inside their rooms, Gu Jiu answered calmly. She had spotted their absence long before Yulina pointed it out. Every veteran youth besides the 2 kitchen cooks was present in the courtyard. 7 veteran residents total, for men and 3 women, yet Jiangyu and her 2 companions were nowhere in sight. From the subtle disapproval woven into the veteran youth's comments, Gu Jiu suspected Jiangyu had already stirred up more trouble behind closed doors. She patted Yulina's hand gently. Pay her no mind. Are you hungry? We'll be eating soon enough. Yulina dropped the subject of Jiangyu and looked forward eagerly to the upcoming dinner. Meanwhile, Gu Jiu struck up a conversation with 2 female veteran youths named Zhang Mei and Sun Dandan to ask about the village carpenters. Zhang Mei had a bright, outgoing personality, while Sun Dandan was gentle and soft-spoken. Both women were warm and approachable. Gu Jiu thought highly of the Unity Production Brigade overall. Aside from the troublesome trio led by Jiang Yu among the new arrivals, every other educated youth she had met so far was easy to get along with. Jiang Mei answered her question. You'll definitely need to buy furnishings once you move into your private rooms. Our village carpenter is Old Li, whose home stands beside an old elm tree on the western edge of the village, impossible to miss. She paused to add another tip. If you need a mason for repairs, you'll have to coordinate through the brigade leader, as all construction work is managed collectively by the brigade. Since all 5 of you rented private rooms, you can go together to speak with the brigade leader to arrange renovations as a group. Gu Jiu nodded in acknowledgement. I'll mention this to the others later. She asked another curious question. Is this the full group of educated youths living in the compound now? Sun Dandan replied this time. There used to be many more educated youths stationed here, but over the past couple of years, several have returned to the cities. And others married local villagers and settled down permanently. Only the few of us remain now. Seeing Gu Jiu's understanding expression, Sun Dandan smiled. Your arrival has breathed new life into this quiet compound. You're absolutely right. I'll come visit you often to hang out, Yulina cut into the conversation cheerfully. Jiang Mei laughed hearty and draped an arm over Yulina's shoulders. Please do. I've been bored with such a small group around here lately. Their conversation was cut short when Li Lan called loudly from the kitchen doorway. Dishes are ready. Come help carry the food over to the tables. Everyone stood to their feet immediately, some fetching plates of food from the kitchen while others set up the wooden dining tables. It was not long before the entire group was seated for the meal. A dozen plates of food covered the table, making for an unexpectedly lavish spread, though many dishes were duplicated in 2 portions to ensure everyone could reach the food easily. Wang Guifan smiled as she addressed the group. We have limited resources here, so please forgive our simple fare. We split each dish onto 2 plates, so no one struggles to reach the food across the table. Help yourselves, we added plenty of meat from the donated supplies to tonight's cooking. Lin Bing chimed in as well. It's been ages since any of us have had this much meat in a meal. We've all put in hard work in the fields today, so eat your fill and head back to rest afterward. Just as everyone lifted their chopsticks to eat, Jiang Yu's affected, sugary voice echoed into the courtyard. My apologies for being late. It seems everyone has already started dinner without us. Here she was, arriving alongside her 2 devoted male companions. Zhao Jianzhou spoke up right after Jiang Yu appeared, just as Gu Jiu had anticipated. Ayu, this is not your fault. They should have sent someone to fetch us for the meal. They're the ones in the wrong. Typical behavior, Gu Jiu commented silently to herself. Lin Weigua stepped into the courtyard right behind them and voiced his criticism as well. This is inexcusable behavior on your part. Comrade Jiang only had a minor argument with you all, yet you excluded her from dinner over such a trivial dispute. We are all fellow educated youths sent to the countryside. There is no reason to be so petty and unforgiving toward one another. He glanced at the aggrieved look on Jiang Yu's face and continued his patronizing speech. The proper resolution is for all of you to apologize to Comrade Jiang, and we can put this whole unpleasant incident behind us. He carries himself with such an overbearing, preachy attitude it's stifling, Gu Jiu thought to herself. Jiang Yu put on a soft, forgiving tone toward Zhao Jianzhou and Lin Weigua. Please don't make a fuss over this. I'm sure they didn't mean any harm by leaving us out. We cannot let this unfair treatment slide, Zhao Jianzhou insisted firmly. They must apologize for wronging you. Lin Weigua backed him up immediately. Gu Jiu stared at the pair in complete disbelief. Had they lost their sense entirely? How could they make such unreasonable demands out of nowhere? Unsurprisingly, someone immediately pushed back against their unreasonable request. Li Lan spoke up sharply. Have you people no sense of decency? Apologize to her? She is in no position to demand apologies from anyone here. Jiang Yu's eyes welled up with tears, ready to put on a hurt display, but Sun Dandan cut her performance short. Comrade Jiang, hold back your tears. Every conflict has a clear right and wrong side, and shedding tears does not automatically make you the victim. We are not the impressionable young men beside you who will cave to every show of sorrow you put on. I hope you can understand one thing clearly, Lin Bing said sternly. No one deliberately left you out of dinner. You chose to stay locked inside your rooms and refused to come out when we called everyone to gather. We veterans contributed our own rations and spent time cooking this meal, and the new arrivals generously donated their own precious canned meat to share with the group. You hid away voluntarily, so why should we owe you an apology? Wang Guifan added her own rebuke, her face twisted with open disgust. Jiang Yu, you know full well what transpired earlier today. When we assigned sleeping bunks in the collective room, you tossed my bedding aside and demanded to take my spot on the brick bed. When I refused your unreasonable request, you burst into tears, leading these two men to storm over and accuse us of bullying you. We overlooked your rude behavior out of consideration for you being newly arrived, yet now you create another scene over dinner. Do you think we tolerate bad conduct simply because we are mild-mannered? We told you well in advance that we would share a group meal this evening. You chose not to come out on your own. Did you expect us to send someone to personally escort you out of your room? It was plain to see how thoroughly disgusted Wang Guifin was by Jiang Yu's antics, her disdain fully visible on her face without any attempt to conceal it. The rest of the group shared her discomfort and irritation toward the trio. Yi Jiyu alone remained completely calm, his expression unchanged without so much as a furrowed brow. Zhao Jianzhou pulled Jiang Yu behind his back and glared angrily at Wang Guifin. Comrade Wang, your words are far too harsh. Even if Ayu made a few missteps, you had no right to speak to her in such a cruel tone. By that logic, are you entirely blameless in this whole affair? Wang Guifin was left speechless by this blatant reversal of right and wrong, her face flushing bright red with rage. She sat back down crossly and turned her head away, refusing to acknowledge the three troublemakers any further. Lin Bing simply gestured for everyone else to begin eating, ignoring the standing trio entirely. Zhao Jianzhou tried to argue further, yet no one paid him the slightest attention, leaving him frozen in an awkward standstill. He was too proud to walk away yet unable to insert himself into the meal. He could endure the awkward silence no longer and stormed back toward the collective quarters. As Jiang Yu turned to follow him, she shot a long, mournful glance across the courtyard that sent a shudder of revulsion running down Gu Zhiyu's spine. During the meal, everyone tacitly avoided mentioning those three people, deeming them an omen. No matter how furious Jiang Yu and her companions were, it did not ruin the shared meal. Rare meat dishes were served, so everyone ate to their heart's content. After finishing the meal and exchanging goodbyes, Gu Zhiyu and her group headed back to the educated youth compound. Gu Zhiyu was utterly worn out. Days of running around had stretched her frail body to its limit. She quickly tidied her bedding, washed up, and laid down to rest. Recalling everything that had unfolded at the youth compound that evening, she gained a clearer grasp of the living environment she would be staying in from now on. Most of the residents seemed decent enough. Aside from those three unreasonable troublemakers, she had not run into any difficult personalities. That said, Zhao Jianzhou had truly opened her eyes. She had once thought him deeply affectionate, only to discover he was nothing but a bully who picked on the weak and feared the strong. He acted timid and submissive in front of the village party secretary, not daring to utter a single word in Jiang Yu's defense. Yet when facing the other educated youths, he put on a haughty front to stand up for Jiang Yu. Afraid to confront the village leaders yet dismissive toward his fellow youth, his half-baked sense of propriety only made him more disagreeable. Lying on the heated brick bed, Gu Zhiyu resolved to rise early the next morning. She needed to speak with the village leader about renovating her living quarters and pick up her parcels from the commune supply station. She swallowed a nourishing medicinal pill before drifting into a deep sleep. The next day, before dawn had fully broken, Gu Zhiyu was jolted awake by the roosters crowing across the village brigade. She tossed and turned beneath her quilt for a long while before forcing her eyes open. She reached for the wristwatch beside her pillow, checked the time, and squeezed her eyes shut in misery. It was not even 5:30. These village roosters must all be unmarried males. Roosters with hens would never rise so absurdly early. Gu Zhiyu hoped to catch a little more sleep but found herself wide awake. She clambered out of bed, dressing herself while grumbling that she would gladly cook those noisy roosters into a stew someday. She fetched water to splash her face, then took 2 meat buns and a bowl of soybean milk out from her spatial storage to make a simple breakfast. Judging the time to be right, she slung her bag over her shoulder and set off to consult the village head about the house repairs. She had barely stepped outside when she spotted Yi Jiyu returning from somewhere. "Good morning, Comrade Yi." Gu Zhiyu greeted him first. As Yi Jiyu walked toward her. She thought to herself that the phrase, "a gentleman graceful as jade walks the country paths, no peer exists beneath heaven," was tailor-made for the man standing before her. Amused to see Gu Zhiyu staring blankly at him, Yi Jiyu smiled. "Good morning, Comrade Gu. Are you heading out somewhere?" Snapping out of her daze when she caught the amusement in his eyes, Gu Zhiyu's ears flushed pink. I'm going to talk to the village head about fixing up my room." Thinking about the shabby state of his own living quarters, Yijiu nodded in understanding. The repairs were long overdue. He could not even cook properly in his current room. Then you ought to hurry along so you won't be delayed. Embarrassed by her momentary distraction, Gu Jiu murmured a reply and quickened her pace away. Yijiu watched her flustered retreat with a soft laugh, the sight of her blushing ears lingering in his mind and striking him as rather endearing. Endearing? He was startled by his own thought. They had only met the previous day. How could he find her charming already? Oblivious to Yijiu's confused musings, Gu Jiu leaned against a wall gasping for breath, worn out from rushing away so quickly. She cursed herself inwardly for being so easily distracted. She had a pleasant appearance herself. So why was she spacing out over another person's looks? Still, she could not deny how handsome Yijiu was, paired with an outstanding temperament that perfectly matched her ideal type. Glancing down at her winded state, she pushed those thoughts aside. Her body was too weak for idle crushes. Prioritizing her physical recovery was far more important. Once her breathing steadied, she walked slowly toward the village head's home, following the directions Zhang Mei had given her the day before. When she arrived, the village head's family had just finished breakfast. The family had eaten at a table set up in their courtyard, and the bowls and chopsticks had already been cleared away. The village head's wife was wiping the tabletop, and her brisk, efficient movements made it plain she was a sharp, capable woman. "You're one of the newly arrived educated youths," the woman asked upon spotting Gu Jiu at the gate. "Are you looking for the party secretary?" Gu Jiu nodded politely. "Auntie, my name is Gu Jiu. I just got here yesterday, and I've come to ask the village head for a favor. Come right in, don't linger by the doorway. I'll call him out for you." The woman raised her voice toward the house. "Yan Laoda. Come out quick, an educated youth is here to see you." "Coming right away," a man's voice answered from indoors. The woman turned back to chat with Gu Jiu while waiting. "Please step inside, Comrade Gu. He'll be out any second now." The woman's name was Wang Yalan. Though she looked to be under 50, she had a warm, welcoming demeanor. Noticing the pallor on Gu Jiu's face, she frowned with concern. "Dear girl, are you unwell? Why is your complexion so pale?" Meeting her genuine concern with a gentle smile, Gu Jiu reassured her. "It's nothing serious, Andy. I've been congenitally frail since childhood, so I always look this way. I take regular medicinal tonics and my condition stays stable with proper care." Wang Yalan looked surprised. "With such poor health, why did your family let you come down to the countryside? What would they do if you took a turn for the worse out here?" Gu Jiu was about to explain when the village head stepped out of the house. Yan Weimin was in his 50s with a stern-looking face. He carried an enamel mug in one hand and sat down on a wooden stool beside the courtyard table. Wang Yalan gestured toward Gu Jiu. "This is Comrade Gu. She says she needs to discuss something with you." "Speak your mind," Yan Weimin said, fixing his gaze on the young woman. Gu Jiu pulled the prepared gifts out of her bag and set them on the table before responding to his question. "Village head, after moving into the single room at the youth compound yesterday, the space only has a heated brick bed and nothing else. I was hoping to build a cooking stove and add some basic furniture, so I came to ask for your guidance on arranging the construction work." Frowning at the oil paper parcel and bolt of cloth laid out before him, Yan Weimin shook his head firmly. "Take these gifts back at once. I'll send a few men over to handle minor house repairs for you free of charge." Gu Jiu refused to take the items back. "Village head, I have a second favor to ask of you. I would be far too embarrassed to bring it up if you decline my small tokens of gratitude." Catching his wife's eager stare, Yan Weimin did not outright reject her offering. After a moment's thought, he relented. "Tell me what you need first. What sort of trouble would prompt you to give such valuable gifts?" "My poor health requires constant medication, so I cannot manage heavy manual labor." "I was hoping you could assign me some lighter farm duties," Gu Jiu said, handing over an official medical certificate issued by a hospital. Yan Weimin examined the paperwork, then glanced at Gu Jiu's slight, delicate frame before agreeing to her request. "Very well. Your medical record speaks for itself. Report for work tomorrow, and you'll be assigned to gather pigweed. Now tell me your plans for renovating the room." Gu Jiu pulled out a hand-drawn sketch and handed it over. "I've heard households around here build heated interior walls connected to the brick bed. I plan to construct one alongside the bed to act as a room divider, plus build a stove and cooking range." Yan Weimin studied the clear, straightforward diagram. "This design is simple enough. I can gather workers to finish the whole job today. Each laborer will be paid 20 cents per day. As for building materials, Most villagers use adobe bricks, but the brigade still has a stock of red bricks available. Red bricks will cost extra, so the choice is yours. I'll go with red bricks, thank you for your trouble, Gu Jiu said, pulling 30 yuan from her pocket and handing it to him. I won't be able to prepare meals for the workers while construction is underway, so please give each man an extra 10 cents to cover their own meals at home. If the funds fall short, I'll make up the difference. That's a fair deal. The workers will happily accept the cash instead of a meal, Yan Weimin agreed readily. With all matters settled, Gu Jiu stood to take her leave. I am truly grateful for your help. I also need to hire an ox cart to collect my parcels from the commune. My room is the northernmost one on the western side of the compound. You can send the work crew straight there without waiting for me. I'll be on my way now. Got it. I'll round up the workers immediately. Yan Weimin stood up from his seat. If you need an ox cart, walk east when you leave my yard and look for old Lu at the last house on the edge of the village. Ask him to hitch his ox cart and drive you to the commune. Understood. Thank you again, village head. Gu Jiu bowed once more and departed. The second she was out of sight, Wang Yalan hurried over to inspect the gifts on the table. Yan Laoda, this fold of cloth is a full 3 chi long, more than enough to sew a whole garment with leftover fabric. Good heavens, this oil paper package holds a full jean of brown sugar. I wonder what kind of family comrade Gu comes from to be so generous with her belongings. Put those things away and keep quiet about them. Yan Weimin took a sip from his enamel mug and set it down firmly. If word spreads around the village, the poor girl will get dragged into unnecessary trouble. It's obvious she was raised with great care at home. Her soft skin and sheltered demeanor make it clear she has access to rare provisions. Keep your mouth sealed on this matter, do you hear me? You don't need to lecture me like a child, you old fool. Wang Yalan rolled her eyes at his constant reminders and shooed him toward the door. Hurry up and gather the workers to fix the girl's room instead of dawdling here. Off you go. Once Yan Weimin left to handle the arrangements, Wang Yalan stored the gifts safely indoors, humming a cheerful tune as she tidied the kitchen. She pondered happily whether to make a new top or a pair of trousers from the fine cloth. Gu Jiu arranged for the ox cart ride and returned to the educated youth compound. Everyone was awake by then, and the senior educated youths had already left for their morning work shifts in the fields. Yulina spotted her the instant she stepped through the compound gate. Hey, you're back. I came looking for you first thing this morning, but your door was locked. Comrade Yu told me you'd gone to see the village head. Gu Jiu unlocked her door and gestured for Yulina to step inside. The room is completely bare with no cooking stove at all. So I asked the village head to send workers to build one. I also requested a heated interior wall to keep the room warm through winter. His crew should arrive any minute now. Mid-conversation, voices echoed from the courtyard outside. Stepping out onto her doorstep, Gu Jiu saw the village head walking over with 3 sturdy, experienced laborers in tow. Qin Zhan was talking with Yan Weimin and waved warmly when he spotted the 2 young women. Comrade Gu, over here. The village head brought the men to start your renovations. Yi Ziyu and Su Rong were also standing nearby, evidently curious about the upcoming construction work. Gu Jiu walked quickly over to Yan Weimin. Village head, you've moved far faster than I expected. I thought there would be quite a wait. We'll get the work finished sooner and be done with it. A few more men have gone to fetch the red bricks and clay supplies and will arrive shortly. Gu Jiu led Yan Weimin and the workmen toward her living quarters.